make sense when people be like, oh, streaming is harder than a real job. It's because y'all fat and lazy and like it be like little small shit that do turn you off from this shit. But y'all bitches and y'all let that shit get to your mind. And I just been sitting there pondering on that shit. Y'all niggas is some bitches. Y'all niggas is some bitches. You niggas that be following these niggas up, you some parasocial dumbass niggas. You niggas is stupid. Your mama should have raised you better. And I ain't disrespecting her, but she had to work and she ain't had time for your stupid ass, and I don't blame her. But you niggas is stupid little bitches. And a lot of this shit is fatherless activity. And you niggas is stupid
people over
bitches.
Here who had answers to that question, and they made poems and bowl art about it.
You niggas don't ever want to learn shit. All you niggas want to do is lie.
This is Greek mythology.
Niggas want to lie
okay,
and
so
always
for a while,
look
there wasn't
right.
much going on, but then a few primordial
But you
deities
niggas don't
started
ever
popping
want to
up.
take them
Earth was
fucking
lonely,
hard
so she
knocks.
sprouted a bunch of sentient
When niggas
geographical
telling you that
features,
you
and also
wrong,
a sentient
you want to
sky,
run away
and he
from
was
that.
the favorite, so he got to be
It's
in charge of
embarrassing when
everything.
you
And they had a
wrong.
bunch of kids together, but some of them were ugly, so their sky dad put them in jail, and that made Earth Mom sad. So she told
Tired
her
of that
normal-looking
shit. You
kid
niggas
Cronus
is
to
bitches.
stab him, but
You
nobody
niggas ain't
invented
never
knives
gonna
yet, so
be
he just
shit.
opted to neuter
You
his
just gonna
dad with
be a
gardening
no
tools.
weak
And
ass
Sky Dad was so
nigga.
embarrassed about this that he decided to stop being important, and then Cronut got to be in charge
A
instead.
yes man,
But
a
Sky
behind
Dad's
the
still up
scenes
there being
ass
the Sky, I
nigga.
guess. And Earth Mom was like, hey, are you gonna let your ugly siblings out of jail now? Because that was kind of the main reason I told you to stab
Well,
your
how
dad.
you know
But
if
Cronus
anybody
didn't
want to
hear
do
her 'cause he
that?
was too busy planning
Nigga,
his
I
incest
don't.
wedding. But then he realized, oh man,
if
what
you
if
do
I
wanna
have
do
kids
that,
and they
just
find out
say
how
that.
awesome it is to usurp your father?
Don't have
And
niggas
nobody
thinking you
invented
want
birth
more out
control
of
yet,
life
so
and you
instead
don't.
of not procreating
Let
with
them
his
niggas
sister,
know
he
you don't
decided
want
to
that
just eat
shit.
his kids whenever they popped out, and that took care of things
Don't be
for him.
worried
But
about
that
if a
made his
nigga
wife's
judge
sister
you or
sad, so
something.
by the time she
But
was
at
about
the
to have
same
her
time,
sixth
be
kid,
fucking
Zeus,
honest,
she
nigga.
devised a really smart plan. Hey, can you hand
If
over
you
my
don't
newborn
feel
son
like you
so I
need to
can
tell me that
cannibalize him
nigga,
like I
then
did
don't
with our
call
last 5
yourself
children while you
my
helplessly
friend.
watched? Sure,
Yeah,
here you go.
stay the
Here is
fuck
our
away
son,
from
our
me
newborn son
and
who I
be a
just gave
little
birth to,
worthless
and
ass
handing over
bitch.
to you right now.
Nigga. And ain't nobody beefing,
thanks.
nigga. Just
But little
keep
did
my
he know, it
name
was
out your
actually just
fucking
a
mouth.
rock. The real baby Zeus was
So you
taken
can
to a
tell
cave
people
where a
that
goat
you
raised
used to
him,
know
and
me,
they put on
nigga.
an
You a
EDM
weak
festival
ass
outside
nigga.
so nobody would hear him making baby sounds and stuff. Once Zeus grew up, he was like, you know what sounds fun? Usurping my father. So he snuck some tummy ache juice into Cronus' coffee, and that made him puke up all his kids, who are now fully grown gods. And Zeus was like, hey, want to usurp our dad? And they were like, yeah, that sounds fun. And so began the epic 10-year battle known as the Titanomachy. But we don't actually know what happened for most of it, because the ancient Greeks forgot to write it down. Or they did, but it was all in the Library of Alexandria or something, I don't know. But after fighting for a while, Earthmom went to Zeus and was like, hey, while you're fighting this celestial war, could you maybe let your ugly uncles out of jail? Because that was kind of the main thing I was hoping to get out of all of this, and they'll probably hook you up with some cool weapons and stuff. And Zeus and his brothers were like, okay, so they went down to Tartarus to set free the Cyclopes and the Hecatoncheires. Nailed it. And they were like, thanks, it gave them a bunch of dope loot. And then they were finally able to kick their dad's ass, and they threw him and a bunch of the other titans into god jail. And Cronus was like, I'm realizing the irony of my actions, because my dad suppressed his children, which led to his downfall, and then I did the same thing to my children, which yielded similar results. And now Zeus is probably going to face similar choices, and it's kind of this whole thing about cyclical abuse, and damn, the ancient Greeks really knew how to tell relatable stories that captured the core of the human experience, despite their seemingly fantastical subject matters, and people are probably going to write a lot of, like, academic papers on this subject and unconsciously parallel it in their own modern stories, and...
Bruh, what if the Bible is a story about not letting one man have too much power? And, like, us putting all this faith into having people like presidents and mayors and governors is just not the way of life. Damn. Y'all you probably ain't never even thought about that shit like that because you a sheep. You a bitch. Your mama raised a sheep ass bitch. That's why you ain't never thought like that. And you need to change that. You need to reevaluate yourself, realign yourself, come back, double back, reassign yourself, okay? You know what I'm saying, my nigga? And just get your shit together instead of hanging off nut sacks.
Nightcrawler.
Blarg, I'm gonna stop being important now. And so then Zeus and his brothers got to be in charge of everything. Zeus got to rule the sky and be boss of all the other lamer gods. Poseidon got to rule the ocean, and Hades got to manage all the dead people because he was the last person to say not it. But he got to name his office after himself, so that's cool. Meanwhile, their oldest sister Hestia got to be in charge of campfires. And that's about it, but she's doing a great job. Their middle sister Demeter controls the weather to make plants grow and stuff, but after a messy custody battle with Hades, she started half-assing her job, and now we get snow sometimes. Zeus took a note from his old man and married his youngest sister Hera, and they had a few kids together, like Ares, god of war and bloodlust, whose hobbies include fighting things and getting his ass kicked like half the time. Their other son was Hephaestus, but he was ugly and had weird-looking legs, so Hera tossed him out the window, and he landed next to two mermaids who adopted him and gave him Legos to play with. He got really good at building Legos, so when he was older, he decided to get payback on his mom by building her a fancy chair and secretly coating it with super glue so she would get stuck. And Zeus was like, hey, sweet prank, you can sit with the cool kids now, son. By the way, I have a really bad migraine. Could you split my skull open with an axe real quick? Sure, Dad. And out popped Athena, goddess of wisdom, fully clad in battle armor. Oh, hi, new daughter. Why were you in my head? Remember that chick you hooked up with and then you made her turn into a fly and ate her? Wow, great story. Let's change the subject. I love my wife. Yeah, it turns out Zeus was quite the lady killer, and Hera wasn't a big fan of that. This one time she found a girl's number on Zeus's phone and chased her onto an island where she gave birth to two twins named Artemis and Apollo. Artemis thought boys were icky, so she decided to live in the forest with her friends to hunt magical animals, help deliver babies, and occasionally kill a giant or two. You know, girl stuff. Apollo, on the other hand, was quite the socialite, and he was tight with everyone. Ladies, gentlemen, goat people, oracles, sun gods, you name it. Want to chill and bang out some sick tunes? He's got you covered. Have a giant serpent problem? Apollo's your guy. Need to cure a plague, or perhaps inflict one on your enemies? Say no more, compadre. Anyway, then there was this one human lady who Zeus was dating who started wondering if she was being catfished, so she was like, hey, how do I know if you're the real Zeus? So he showed her his Super Saiyan mode, which succeeded in proving his identity, but also in vaporizing her entire body, leaving their unborn fetus son wombless and exposed. So Zeus stuck him in his leg to finish baking, and once Dionysus popped out, he went to go party with his goat friends, and he invented a bunch of fun stuff like wine and dolphins and blacking out at a rave and waking up covered in sacrificial goat entrails. Hermes was another one of Zeus's kiddos, and when he was just a little bebop, he ran away from home and stole a bunch of cows from Apollo. And Apollo tracked him down and was like, hey mister, what did you do with my secret cow stash? Whoa, you're banging out some sick tunes right now, bro. Thanks, I just invented this instrument out of a turtle shell and cow guts. Freaking sick, dude. And they were best friends ever since, and also...
See, some of y'all niggas need to make a guitar out of a turtle shell and cow guts and start doing something with your life instead of being a little bitch-ass nigga hitting the club every weekend celebrating failure. Nigga, you ain't do nothing yet. Nigga, get your shit together, bruh. Oh, nigga in the VIP. You in the VIP of failure, nigga. You ain't doing shit. That way if I who's got the shit. You niggas ain't never gonna do nothing, man. Why this shit ain't opening? You shit ass bitch. You exactly that.
Hermes got to be the god Celestial FedEx. Oh hey, remember that one time Cronus castrated his sky dad? Well, his junk landed in the ocean and it just
Speaking of Cronus, y'all niggas need to stop playing these FPS games with Cronus in. Cause there ain't no point to it. You just wasting time. You ain't getting no achievements, nothing. You just fucking sitting on the game with cheat codes on your goddamn controller, just fucking pressing win buttons all day, bruh. Do something else. Do something else with your time. You'll lose it. Then you get on Facebook complaining about women not being fucking cheap enough for you to pay for them, nigga. Okay, maybe, because you spent fucking $120 on a fucking Cronus Zen. That's probably why you ain't got no money to take no bitches out on dates. Because every time a game come out, you gotta spend the top dollar to fucking get unlocked shit that you can just play the game for, bitch. Quit being a bitch, nigga. You spend the money on stupid shit. That's a cycle. It's all a cycle. To keep you psycho. Cause you a stupid ass motherfucking sheep. You keep falling for it. We tired of you niggas. and every time you come through, you think it's somebody extra deep when they ain't say nothing new. This is tried and true, nigga. You niggas just dumb as a fool. Oh no. Oh no. Not Magneto. Not fucking Magneto. Magneto? Ah. You niggas stupid. And I ain't trying to like discourage you. I'm trying to educate your dumb ass. Cause your ass is dumb. And the only way we can get stuff through to your head is if we yelling at you and telling you that you dumb. Cause you can't figure it out for yourself. You can't figure it out for yourself. So we gotta tell you that you dumb. Dumb people can't figure out that they dumb. You gotta tell them that they fucking dumb. Cause they just gonna walk around thinking they smarter than you cause they run off pure confidence. No intelligence. They just stupid. They think they know everything. Because they perfect the art of saying stupid shit and having the confidence to back it up. We need to start telling these niggas that they not smart. Bruh, stop letting stupid people use their stupidity and confidence stacked together to confuse you and make you think you not smart.
Everyone form up on me. If you say
I'm tired of stupid people running shit, bruh. I don't know if you tired, but I'm tired. I'm so tired of this shit because stupid people are the niggas that have everything in life so they don't have to learn shit. So they end up fucking just using what they was gifted with to just keep fucking coasting through life while smart niggas with low self-esteem just sit up there and let these dumb niggas run amok because if they do say something, then they gonna feel like, oh, I'm missing out on a meal ticket. No, bruh. These niggas don't got nothing for you, bruh. And if you put your intelligence to something that can get you some money, nigga, you don't gotta worry about the next man for a fucking meal ticket, bruh. I promise you. Niggas need to have more confidence, bruh. You niggas need more confidence, man. I'm disappointed in the state of the world right now, bro. That fucking math problem from a couple weeks ago when niggas didn't know how to properly fucking use PEMDAS, but it was a bunch of niggas that was stupidly wrong. Stupidly and confidently wrong. It was too many niggas. It was too many niggas that was too confident in how stupidly wrong they was. And it hurt my heart to see some of the niggas that I thought was my niggas be so stupid and confidently wrong. And then I had one nigga tell me, oh man, shit, I make $100,000 a year. I don't need to know this shit. Nigga, you still stupid. You still stupid. I don't care how much money you make, nigga, you still an idiot. You probably make $100,000 because somebody felt bad for how stupid you was and like, hey man, we gotta give this nigga $100,000 a year. This nigga ain't gonna survive. I went to the bathroom and this nigga didn't even know how to wipe his own ass. He's gonna die out there. We gotta give him $100,000 a year. That's probably what happened. Don't tell me you make $100,000 a year. Because I can boil it down to probably why you make $100,000 a year.
It around for a fat minute, but then it decided to stop being a skydong and start being Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty. And she washed up on a beach and everyone was like, damn. And then Zeus made the out-of-character move of not fornicating with the new sexy goddess lady and instead betrothed her to Hephaestus because his Lego girlfriends could only heal his loneliness.
You disgust me!
Hephaestus saw she was texting Ares a lot, so he secretly rigged up a trap in their bed and caught them during one of their bi-weekly wrestling matches, and he called in all his friends to come over and laugh at them. So yeah, those are all the major Greek gods. They spend most of of their time hooking up with mortals and then usually turning them into various plants and animals, but sometimes they'll do you a solid, so always try to have a goat handy. Hey, have you ever wondered where people came from?
Well, through gradual natural selection over several million years.
Wrong. Get out of here with that nerd crap. I'm Jake, and buckle up, because we're doing some more Greek mythology now. So back when the Titans were in charge of everything, they made a bunch of people to chill with, and they had a pretty good time together, but then Zeus showed up, and he was like, hey, I'm gonna usurp you guys now. And Prometheus could see the future, and he was like, oh man, he's gonna usurp them. So he grabbed his brother Epimetheus, and they just vibed through the whole Celestial Revolutionary War. Whoa, Zeus just usurped those guys. It's a good thing we did not side with the Titans, or else we would have shared their fate. Well, yeah, that's the whole reason I told you. And then once Zeus was in charge, he threw away the old human race and started working on one of his own. Hey, Zeus, nice to see you're in charge now. So, I see you've made your own race of humans. That's pretty cool. You're pretty cool. Please don't smite me. Oh yeah, thanks. I think they turned out pretty well. So, how long do they stay like that? Oh, like 100 years? What? Give or take. Well, what happens after 100 years? Huh, I guess I didn't think about that part. So, Zeus scrapped those humans, and then he started over. Hey, check it out, I made a new human race, and these ones only take like 20 years to grow up. Nice, so what else do they do? Oh, they just make stuff to kill each other with. The human 3.0s didn't get along very well, so Zeus took away their fire privilege.
It's another thing with niggas, man. Like, bruh, if you just work with the person that you mad at for being better than you, if you just work with that person, you can get to a point where you can fucking do whatever you want to. Don't goddamn look for a person that's better than you, hop on this shit, then start fucking shit up for the person that's better than you, because guess what? You wasting your fucking time, nigga. You ever think of that? You ever think of that maybe if you sit up there and try to fucking focus on what somebody else doing and try to make it fuck up for them, that you fucking shit up for yourself? You holding yourself back? You ever thought of that? No? Because you a fucking dumbass? No? Because you don't have any ambition in life? You just want to make shit worse for everybody else? You don't got the fucking wherewithal to ask questions to a nigga so you can get better? You don't know how to collaborate? Fucking take a fucking pen and paper and write down some fucking notes like they taught us in school when you was saying, I don't feel like sitting in there listening to that shit. And then a week later, I don't know how I failed that test. I really don't know. Maybe you should write some notes. No, I can't do that fucking shit. I don't know why. I just don't know. Because maybe the test was too hard. That's it. It was too hard. No, nigga. You just stupid. You stupid and you ain't take no notes. I was trying to tell you to take the fucking notes, nigga. But you don't want to do that. You can take a picture of my notes. No, I don't want to do that. That's cheating. The test was too hard, bro. No! No, it wasn't. You're the only one that failed. We tired of you shit. You ever sit back and think, maybe if me and the person that I think is better than me, maybe if I work with him, I can be almost as good as him. I never thought of that. Nah, nigga, you want to be the nigga, you want to be autonomous. See, that's the word of the day, autonomy. And you need to learn that word to avoid that word. Because you niggas want to be so autonomous, but you don't know shit. You don't know how shit work. You don't even realize when a nigga using you, let alone how to use yourself. You don't even know when a nigga using you, for you to even be smart enough to learn how to use yourself. So learn what the word autonomy means before you go out here trying to think you run the ship. Yeah, so before you start, look at me. I am the leader. Before you start doing that shit, Ethiopian man, before you start doing that shit, Bolivian man, before you start doing that shit, nigga, make sure you know what the fuck you doing out here. You niggas think you walking free, but I got eyes all over the place, bruh. The walls have ears. The walls have ears, nigga. You better be careful who you hanging around with, bruh. I know everything. I look down on you niggas. I was down bad on purpose. If I ever wanted to be somewhere, that's because I wanted to be there. Just remember that. And I'll never forget how you treated me when I was down, nigga. I'll never forget that.
Privileges, but that ended up just making them violent and also cold. Prometheus decided to help them out, so he stole some fire from Olympus and he started dealing it out to the humans, and he tried to keep it low-key. But then Zeus found a Snapchat account and shut down the whole operation, and Prometheus went to jail, aka being chained to a rock while an eagle ate his liver every day. And then Zeus was like, how should I bring eternal punishment upon mankind for disobeying my divine will? Oh, I know, I'll invent women. The stories of Greek mythology reflect the values of the ancient societies in which they originated. The inherently misogynistic overtones of this story have been preserved in our retelling for the sake of authenticity, but are not in any way condoned. While it is essential for a progressive society to be critical of harmful beliefs such as sexism, xenophobia, and all forms of hatred and bigotry, it is also important that we refrain from passing judgment on the individuals brought up in these past civilizations, as we ourselves will likely face similar scrutiny from the generations that succeed us. So Zeus told Hephaestus to build a sexy
Wait, I gotta catch that one again.
Should I went to jail, tried to keep decided to help them out, so he stole some fire from Olympus and he started dealing it out to the humans, and he tried to keep it low-key. But then Zeus found a Snapchat account and shut down the whole operation, and Prometheus went to jail, aka being chained to a rock while an eagle ate his liver every day. And then Zeus was like, how should I bring eternal punishment upon mankind for disobeying my divine will? Oh, I know, I'll invent women. The stories of Greek mythology reflect the values of the ancient society my divine will. Okay. And then Zeus was like, how should I bring eternal punishment upon mankind for disobeying my divine will? Oh, I know, I'll invent women. The stories of Greek mythology reflect the values of the ancient societies in which they originated.
Hey man, I don't really got no rant for women. I ain't never really had too much trouble with women, but I do got a rant for you niggas that can't seem to get women. It just, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It's cause nigga you ugly. That's it. Ain't no nice way to say it. If you texting a girl and she ain't texting you back, you not on her level. Okay, let me say this. You not on her level to her. So if she acting funny, stop chasing her. She don't want you. If you text her one time and one time she don't text you back, bruh, it's over. Quit trying. It ain't nothing that you can buy to make her think, wait a minute, I like this guy. What was I thinking? That's not a thing. That's not a real thing. It never happens. If she didn't text you back, it's because she doesn't like you. And if one day she magically do decide that she like you, she's using you for something. This goes for women too. If a nigga never texted you back when you was texting him, and then out of nowhere he start texting you, and it seems like things going well, he's using you. Whether it be for sexual activities or money, food, a place to live, you're being used. All right? So if you fat, sloppy, and stink, and you talk to a girl that's beautiful, skinny, and smells good and fragrant, you already at a disadvantage. Just be realistic for a second, right? And then let's say you take the route of, well, I'm going to go and get the best job and I'm going to make $80,000 a year and then she'll like me. And then you make that $80,000 a year and magically she starts liking you and you still fat, stink, and ugly when she's skinny, pretty, and fragrant. You're being used. All right? You know what I'm saying? Find somebody on your level like here. Sometimes even here. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you even got to go down here in a realistic world. But right here, that's your wheelhouse, bro. If you get nervous when you walk up to a girl, chances are you ain't supposed to be there. That's your body telling you you're not supposed to be there. You feel me? your body, your mind, body, and soul, all at once, is converging into this homunculus of like intelligence telling you you're not supposed to be there. Listen to that. Listen to that inner monologue, my nigga. You're not supposed to be there. Ain't no amount of work and fraternizing is going to change that. Unless you take your ass to the gym, start eating right, start sleeping on time, read some fucking books so you know how to handle a conversation and navigate people's like people's social cues and shit like that. Once you start doing shit like that, then that's when you ready to hit the field. And you know what I'm saying? So all this shit about blaming women for like anything being too difficult or the dating market is fucked up. Nigga, check your value. Check your portfolio before you start trying to make them big boy trades. You know what I'm saying? Alright? Like look in the mirror before you walk outside and then go scroll through whatever it is, the hub, the hamster, the tube, whatever it is, and find you a girl that's like your same face card, like roughly your same face card. Look at the body on there. Look at what you can get from that. Then you ready to hit the field, my nigga. That's when you ready, when you gauge, when you check yourself in the mirror and you see what other people see, that's when you start being real with yourself. Just a note.
Of harmful beliefs such as sexism, xenophobia, and all forms of hatred and bigotry, it is also important that we refrain from passing judgment on the individuals brought up in these past civilizations, as we ourselves will likely face similar scrutiny from the generations that succeed us. So Zeus told Hephaestus to build a sexy human lady named Pandora, and all the gods gave her presents like a pretty dress, some gold jewelry, a cute flower crown, and a box containing endless pain and suffering to be released unto mankind for their sins, which totally tied her outfit together. And Prometheus went to his brother and was like, hey, I need to warn you that Zeus is going to try to betroth you to a new sexy human lady named Pandora, but you shouldn't accept his offer because he's secretly planning to screw over the entire human race. And Epimetheus was like, okay, and then he went and married Pandora, and then she opened up her box.
Yo, that's another thing right there too, bruh. Listen to your brother, man. If a nigga you know that been cooling it with you when nobody else was there, this don't even go for just blood brother, because my blood brother listen to me when I be talking. Alright? I don't got that problem. My brother listen to me when we might argue, but at the end of the day, that nigga gonna come back to me and be like, you know that shit you been saying, that shit been right. That shit was right. I don't gotta deal with nothing crazy coming from my brother. So that's why this ain't even for him. But for my niggas that been knowing me since the beginning of time, bruh, when I tell you some shit and you looking at me and you hit me with that, man, you don't know what you talking about, man. Hey, you don't know what you talking about, man. You just crazy. You just got anger problems. When that shit happened, when it happened to you, I don't want to hear that shit. I done tell you, I don't want to hear that shit. Because you want to be one way. You want to be one way. But it's the other way, nigga. You want to be lied to. Y'all niggas want to be lied to so bad. Y'all niggas want to be lied to so bad. That's why you see me in this house by myself. Because I don't lie to niggas. I don't lie to niggas. And that's why you see me in this house by myself. Oh, it's so sad. He don't never be in there with nobody. I don't think he got no friends. I got friends. I don't have a lot. Ain't no point in having a lot of friends. What value does a person that doesn't want to give you shit add to your life? It take at least three to fucking 5 years to get somebody to even be on the level of wanting to lend you a fucking dollar, let alone somebody that got your true interest, your true best interest at heart, bruh. So why the fuck do I care if I got a lot of friends? Tell me that. I know niggas that I've been fucking homeboys with for 20 years that wouldn't even lend me $5 to get a $5 foot long. Because they gonna tell me, well, you know, they actually $7 and some change. Okay, nigga, then give me the $7 and change. No, I can't do that. Okay, fuck you, nigga. Like what? Fuck you. I'm not saying ask niggas for money. That's not my TLDR right there. But with that being said, when a nigga tell you some shit, and I know I give a fuck, and you don't want to listen, don't fucking blame me for not stepping in and taking your hand out the fire, bruh. You a grown ass man. Figure that shit out, bruh. I done told you what to do and how to work with it. If you don't want to listen to it, that's on you.
Oh crap, I should not have married you because this was secretly a plan by Zeus to screw over the entire human race. And things got a lot worse for the secret. Went and married Pandora. Secretly, Zeus is gonna try to totally box containing and leave her presence like a.
Wait, hold on.
Just Zeus happens after that. Thanks.
The whole Prometheus section.
Whoa, Zeus just usurped those guys. It's a good thing we did not side with the tight celestial future and he time together. But then,
okay, God of foresight, God of hindsight. That is a shitty ass superpower, bro. Having the power of hindsight is the fucking shittiest superpower ever. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, bro. Why would you ever want to have... Oh, that's terrible. Y'all niggas are some Eprometheus. That's what it is. You niggas are some Eprometheus. How do you pluralize that? Any fucking way. You niggas is an Eprometheus. Okay? And I'm tired of it. Don't bring no Eprometheus around me, nigga. Nigga be like, oh man, yeah, you was right. We probably shouldn't have took all those guns to the airport. You was right. You was fucking right. We probably shouldn't have took all them guns and weed to the airport. My nigga, you was a smart ass nigga, dog. We should have had listened to you when you was shut the fuck up, nigga. I'm snitching. We all going down. Fuck you. We probably should have had listened to you when you had said that. But we didn't. We didn't. You smart. Shut the fuck up. Swear to God. On Buddha belly, I'd have knocked your ass out if I had my hand up you fucking cup. You better have a lawyer. Because I'ma hurt you. Because you gonna be ready to sue me.
And upon mankind for disobeying my divine will. Oh, I know. I'll invent women. The stories of Greek mythology reflect the values of the ancient societies in which they originated. The inherently misogynistic overtones of this story have been preserved in our retelling for the sake of authenticity, but are not in any way condoned. While it is essential for a progressive society to be critical of harmful beliefs such as sexism, xenophobia, and all forms of hatred and bigotry, it is also important that we refrain from passing judgment on the individuals brought up in these past civilizations, as we ourselves will likely face similar scrutiny from the generations that succeed us. So Zeus told Hephaestus to build a sexy human lady named Pandora, and all the gods gave her presents, like a pretty dress, some gold jewelry, a cute flower crown, and a box containing endless pain and suffering to be released unto mankind for their sins, which totally tied her outfit together. And Prometheus went to his brother and was like, hey, I need to warn you that Zeus is going to try to betroth you to a new sexy human lady named Pandora, but you shouldn't accept his offer because he's secretly planning to screw over the entire human race. And Epimetheus was like, okay, and then he went and married Pandora, and then she opened up her box.
I wonder if that's a metaphor for they fucked.
Oh crap, I should not have married you because this was secretly a plan by Zeus to screw over the entire human race. And things got a lot worse for the humans because now they had stuff like disease and famine and spam mail. And after a while, Zeus finally decided to just pull the plug on Mankind 3.0 and started making a big flood to wipe them all out. And Yahweh was like, hey, that was my idea. Oh, your idea, huh? Wow, how original of you. Oh, if it isn't Mr. You can't go taking credit for every single deluge myth just because you're getting paid. This isn't either of your pantheons. Get out of here. Anyway, Prometheus went to his son Deucalion and was like, hey, just so you know, Zeus is going to make a big flood to eradicate the human race. Thank you, Father. I appreciate you using your your foresight abilities to warn me of coming conflict, and I will act accordingly. You
That's a
have
real nigga.
no idea how much that means to me. So Deucalion shoved himself and his wife into a box, and they waited out the apocalypse together. And once it was over and they popped out, Pyrrha was like, geez, I guess we're gonna have to repopulate the Earth now. Heh, nice. Except I don't think it's physically possible for us to do that all on our own. I mean, we can still try, though. Oh, hey, yeah, don't even worry about that. Just throw some rocks around and I'll turn them into people for you. It's all good. Oh, wow, that'll be way easier than procreating naturally. Yeah, oh, cool, thanks, man. So after eating some rocks around for like an hour, they spawned yet another human race, and these ones were actually pretty cool. And they spent generations going on heroic quests and fighting glorious battles, and people made poems about them, and then some of them got written down, and then some Italian guys read them and were like, these are pretty cool, but the names sound kind of lame. And then some other people were like, hey, your magic stories are cool, but they're not as cool as our magic stories, and the Italian guys respectfully disagreed, but then a little later they were like, wait, never mind, those guys were right, but we're still gonna make lots of fan art about our old magic stories. And then several centuries later, a guy wrote a YA series that got really popular, and a kid in elementary school read some of it and thought it was neat, so it became his entire personality for like a year, and then he grew up and learned how to make moving cartoons, and he was like, hey, I should make some videos about Greek mythology, but like do my own spin on it with silly drawings and my own kind of weird brand of humor, but I also want to actually put in some decent research into it so people will think they're funny, but it also might intrigue them to learn more about the subject because it's actually pretty interesting. And so yeah, that's pretty much all of human history up to now. Hey, have you heard that story about a plucky young hero with an absent father who goes on a magical adventure that ends with him saving a hot chick from a giant monster and then he gets to be a king or something? Yeah, me neither, but I have a feeling that kind of a premise would resonate with a lot of people, so let's see if maybe someone's done it before. It's your old pal Jake again, back with some spicy new Greek mythology. It's Perseus, by the way. I'm doing the story of Perseus, and I was being facetious about the whole, nobody's ever done a story like this before, because it's actually a very common formula, and I think a guy wrote a book about it or something, I don't know. So there was this guy Acrisius, whose two favorite things were having a male heir and not being murdered, but he had only accomplished one of those things, and that got him pretty frustrated. So he went to an oracle, and he was like, hey, am I gonna have a son? And she was like, nah, but your daughter Danae will give you a grandson. Oh, sweet, is he gonna inherit my throne? Oh yeah, totally, right after he murders you. Oh cool, wait, stupid monkey's paw. So he tossed his daughter down a hole so she couldn't procreate, but then one day Zeus came strolling by. Do-do-do-do-do. Wait a second. Oh hey, nice. Hey, wanna bang? Sure. And then 9 months later, Acrisius heard baby sounds coming out of the hole.
How that
and he was
shit
like,
happened.
Crap, my daughter must have procreated with a horny god.
Hey man,
And
you
he
know
figured
what,
it probably
man?
wasn't a good idea.
What's up with that shit, dog? Like, what's up with niggas that be trying to fuck other niggas' girl, dude? That shit lame as fuck, dog. I be nutting in my wife, bruh. Why do you want that? Why do you want? I nutted in her. Why? Why you want that? Bruh, all these other beautiful unnutted women, and you want the one that somebody else nutted in? You a nut. You a nut-ass nigga. You a freaky frog-ass nut-ass nigga. The silence is deafening. Deafening.
Idea to kill the son of a god, much less a horny one, so he stuffed Danae and her son Perseus in a box and dropped them in the ocean and was like, gee, I sure hope Poseidon doesn't let them die. It would totally be Poseidon's fault if they drowned in the ocean, right? Are we clear on that? That makes sense. And Zeus was like, oh hey, it's that chick I hooked up with, and he guided their boat to the island of Seriphos where a fisherman found them, and Perseus grew up there. But then the fisherman's extremely overachieving brother Polydectes was the king of the island, and he had the hots for Danae, and he was like, hey, wanna bang? You, no. Hey mom, is this guy bothering you? Because if he is, I'll murder his ass right now. No, everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Anyway, bye. And Polydectes realized he needed to get rid of Perseus, so he invited him along with all of his rich friends over to a party, and he was like, hey, guess what, guys? I'm gonna get married to, not Perseus's mom. Yep, that's happening. Oh, congratulations, man. Here's an electric chariot made of gold as a wedding present. Yeah, and you can have my yacht made out of exotic animal bones. Oh, hey, sorry, man. I don't have any expensive gifts for you. I was raised by a fisherman, who's also your brother, but like not a prince for some reason. Oh, don't worry worry about it. Hey, why don't you just go on an extremely dangerous quest to retrieve the head of the Gorgon Medusa? And not come back. Oh, alright, and Perseus left for his quest. Wait a second, who's Medusa? Said nobody, but I'll explain it anyway. So Medusa was this smoking hot snake lady, but then one day Athena caught her hooking up with Poseidon in her temple. And as punishment, she turned her so ugly that anyone who looks at her gets turned into stone. So she went back to live with her two sisters and probably started a lucrative career making and selling lawn ornaments or something. So anyway, as Perseus set on his adventure, Hermes and Athena showed up and were like, hey, our dad wanted to let you know that you're gonna need to go on a few side quests first to level up your gear, so here's some items to get started. Ah, dope, thanks. First, Perseus needed to visit the Grey, sisters for information. The three of them had only one eye that they had to pass around, so while one was handing it to the other, he swooped in and was like, haha, I got, oh god, it's wet. I don't know why I didn't expect it to be wet. Ew. Let me guess, you want to make us tell you where you can find the nymphs so they can give you the loot you need for your quest? Yes, please. It's looking at me. Why is it looking at me? Yeah, okay. So to find them, you're gonna want to go up to the... actually, could you just put it into my Google Maps? I'm kind of bad with directions. I just follow the GPS everywhere. God, I hate zoomers. Alright, okay, thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, ew. Can I have my turn with the tooth now? So then Perseus went to the nymphs, who gave him a cap of invisibility so he could infiltrate the Gorgon's lair undetected. And also a bag. A magic bag. So Perseus put on the helmet and snuck up on Medusa while she and her sisters were sleeping, using Athena's mirror to guide his killing strike. Huh, that was actually really easy. I didn't even need the invisibility hat for this. Hey, did you just kill our sister? Did you just kill our, mom? Well, this is awkward, bye. So then Perseus went on his way home, but as he was flying over Africa, he noticed something. Wait a second. Oh, hey, nice. I'm so proud. Hey, wanna bang? Oh, hey, that sounds dope, but I'm actually about to get eaten by a giant sea monster. Oh, geez, that's a pickle. What happened? My dad pissed off Poseidon. You know how it goes. Whew, yeah, that'll do it. You know what? Hold on a second. I'll be right back. Hey, would it be cool for me to marry your daughter if I kill the giant sea monster that's about to eat her? Yeah, that sounds fine. Tight.
That nigga named
I'm a big sea
Cephas.
monster, now I'm dead, blah. And so Perseus married Andromeda, and then he went home to finally deliver his gift to Polydectes. Oh, hey man, glad
That
to
shit
see you're
just
back safe.
hit me,
I wasn't trying to
bruh.
marry your mom or anything. Wait, did you actually get the head of Medusa? Yeah, here you go, man. Oh, oops. So I can be king now, right? And then all of Perseus' problems were pretty much taken care of, so he decided to look for a new passion in life and joined an ultimate frisbee team. Wow, I'm really glad I've been able to take the time to stop worrying about my impending death at the hands of my grandson and enjoy watching my favorite semi-obscure low-contact team sport. Ah, stupid monkey's paw. Hey, are you extremely lonely? Of course you are. You're watching videos about ancient mythology. But don't worry, this story is a great guide on how to find a fulfilling relationship with minimal kidnapping involved. That's right, Jake's back at it again.
Why
with
the
more
random
Greek
stray though,
mythology.
bro?
So
I'm
after
like
helping his
giving your
brothers overthrow
content
the
a look.
Titans, Hades was rewarded with the honor of ruling the land of the dead. It was a pretty
I don't like that stray,
That's
bro.
right, Jake's back at it again with more Greek mythology with minimal kidnapping involved. But don't worry, this story is a great guide on extremely lonely. Of course you are. You're watching videos about ancient mythology. But don't worry, this story is a great guide on how to find a fulfilling relationship with minimal kidnapping involved. That's right, Jake's back at it again with more Greek mythology. So after helping his brothers overthrow the Titans, Hades was rewarded with the honor of ruling the land of the dead. It was a pretty simple job since 99% of people were sent to the fields of Asphodel, where they just kind of vibed forever. Or if they were a king and or did some sick heroic stuff, they got to party in Elysium. But every once in a while, someone would royally piss off the gods, and Hades got to come up with a suitably ironic punishment for their sins. But it was a lonely job, and his OK Eros profile wasn't getting much attention.
7
Then
feet
one day
tall.
he found Demeter's
Bye.
daughter Persephone
Hold on,
and
nigga.
his
Wait,
OK
what the
Eros
fuck?
profile.
Hey, that's funny. Yeah, 7 feet tall, by Sigma male looking for God. No, feminist,
Profile wasn't
please.
getting much attention. Then one day he found Demeter's daughter Persephone on Instagram and started simping real hard. So he went to her father, Zeus. Hey bro, I was just wondering if maybe I could get permission to, marry Persephone? You mean your biological niece? Who's like centuries younger than you? Hell yeah, you can.
Hey, y'all niggas is Hades. That's what it is. You niggas is Hades. You niggas be going after them young ass girl. Cause y'all niggas want to be Hades so bad. You niggas is corny. That bitch don't want you. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's all making sense. You niggas want to be Hades.
Iceman.
Niggas lame as hell.
her, bro.
No matter.
Right, thanks, bro. So when Persephone was out picking flowers with her friends, he waited for her to wander off alone and scooped her up. Ah! And Demeter heard her scream and started wondering where she went, so she asked the sun god Helios if he saw anything. Okay, so don't freak out or anything, but Persephone got... What happened to her? Okay, so you're freaking out, and that's what I said not to do. Just chill out. It's really not a big deal. She just got kidnapped by a horny death god. Okay, now that I say it out loud...
I'll fucking kill him!
Hey, you know, Hades isn't so bad. And she'll be married to one of the most powerful gods there is. What more could a young woman want to achieve in life? Am I right, fellas? Hey, yeah. Patriarchy. And Demeter was super bummed, so to fill the maternal void in her life, she disguised herself as an old lady and got a job as a nanny for some rich kid. But unfortunately, things didn't work out because his mom wasn't a fan of her parenting methods. So Demeter revealed herself and told the kid's parents to build a big temple for her to hang out in so she wouldn't have to go back up to Olympus. But she spent so much of her time there crying and binging The Office that she forgot to make plants grow, which caused a bit of a problem for the mortals. And after a while, the gods started to notice that they weren't getting their usual servings of animal sacrifices. So Zeus sent them one by one to try and coax Demeter out of her depression nest, but nothing seemed to work. So finally, Hermes headed over to Hades to see if he could work out a solution. Okay, so this guy Tantalus, total douchebag. He tried to trick the gods into eating his son, and I was thinking, alright, clearly food is the theme we're working with here, so I've come up with 3 pretty solid options for his eternal punishment. A, we have hellhounds constantly eating him alive, but his flesh grows back instantly, so it never ends. B, put him in a pool up to his neck and have a fruit tree above him, but when he tries to drink, the water recedes, and when he reaches for the fruit, the branches raise out of his grasp. Or C, we do the reverse of that, where he's constantly being force-fed, so he's just getting more and more stuffed and never gets to come up for air. I call that one the foie gras. So which one do you think sounds the most fittingly ironic? I don't know. I guess any of them would be fine. I feel like you don't appreciate the art of this. Hey, sorry to interrupt this, but I was wondering if I could borrow Persephone for a minute. Demeter is kind of causing a global famine. Huh, that sounds like a real pickle. That could cause me a real headache since we're already near capacity here and the expansion renovation just got delayed. So I guess I better let you go back up to visit your mom and work things out. Wow, thanks. I'd really appreciate that. I guess you're not a completely insufferable incel after all. That's the most romantic thing you've ever said to me. But before Persephone left, Hades stealthily snuck some pomegranate seeds into her mouth. Yay, my daughter's back. Now I guess I won't starve humanity. Also, what are you wearing, young lady? Mom. Well, I guess we'll just have to keep Persephone up here forever so Demeter doesn't forget to make plants grow again. Sounds good to me. Yeah, Hades is kind of creepy, though I do like his aesthetic. Aha, not so fast. Hate to ruin your reunion, but Persephone ate pomegranate seeds. Okay. Which means that she has to stay in the underworld with me. That's a rule? Yes, it is! So then they took the matter to Zeus, and after a lengthy overview of the official Hades terms and conditions, he decided that Persephone was required to spend a third of every year in the underworld with her husband. So now whenever her daughter leaves, Demeter retreats back into her pillow fort and doesn't let any plants grow for several months. But at least Persephone's Instagram following is through the roof.
Hey, are you into strong, handsome, heroic, manly dudes? Well, why else would you be watching my videos? I'm Jake, and this is the story of Heracles, not Hercules. That's what the Romans called him. And I'm sure people who aren't pedantic nerds will care very much about that distinction. Okay, so we all know Zeus loves the ladies, and the ladies...
Nope, ain't nothing wrong with my
But one day,
hairline,
Zeus
baby.
scoped
That
out
shit
a total
pristine,
babe
nigga.
named Alcmene, who was
Suck a
already
dick.
taken by a guy named Amphitryon. Aw, man, if there's one institution I would never dare to violate, it's the sanctity of marriage.
My hairline go hard.
Oh, I know. I'll
Look
just
at that.
transform myself into
I ain't
Amphitryon.
even got
Then
to
it will be
line my
totally
shit up
fine.
yet.
So then Zeus
I
pulled
don't
some
even have
strings to
a
make the
haircut,
night last
man.
3 times as long, and then went down to Alcmene in disguise and, oh hey, look at that over there. The next morning, Amphitryon came back home. Hi
Yeah,
honey,
me
I'm
with that
back from my
hairline shit.
business trip. What are you talking about? You've been back since last night. You mean the night that was unnaturally long, likely due to some kind of supernatural intervention? Wait a minute. Aw, not again, Zeus. Whoopsie daisy. Not Again Zeus was filmed in front of a live studio audience. Anyway, 9 months later, Alcmene had 2 fraternal twins fathered by Zeus and Amphitryon, respectively, which is actually a real thing that can happen, and I didn't even know that. It was around this time Alcmene remembered Zeus's wife Hera wasn't a super
Damn!
fan of her.
So that mean if your wife end up having twins, you need to check her. Because some shit happened. Damn, that's crazy to think about. Damn. I didn't even think about that. Damn.
Her husband's extramarital lovers and their bastard children. And she panicked and left her Zeus baby out in a field. But then Athena scooped him up and brought him to Hera. Hey Hera, check out this random baby who you have no particular reason to hate. His name is, Hera is super awesome and everyone likes her. Yeah, that baby's pretty cool. Nothing about him would suggest that he's a walking reminder of my husband's infidelity, causing intense feelings of inadequacy that I'll choose to take out on others instead of facing the fact that I'm in a deeply unhealthy marriage. Yep, totally. He looks pretty hungry though. Maybe you can feed him with those fat mommy milkers of yours. Sure, as long as you promise never to say fat mommy milkers ever again. So Hera's magic goddess milk gave baby Heracles a major strength and constitution buff, and then he was brought back home to his family. And then Hera realized she was duped, so she sent some snakes to take care of the brat. But he wasn't all that bothered by them. And thanks to his OP stats, Heracles grew up big and strong and overachieved in pretty much every area. His only vice was having a slight temper. Very good, Heracles, though I noticed you started drifting ever so slightly off tempo around bar 125. Yeah, and then out of nowhere he tried to punch me, so as you can see, I instinctively acted in self-defense. That all seems to add up. Have a nice day, sir. Amphitryon started to get a little nervous around his stepson, so he sent Heracles to take care of the cattle outside of Thebes. But he still found plenty of stuff to kill, and he decided to visit Thebes again to show everyone his fresh new fit. But along the way, he ran into some messengers from Mania. Well, hi diddly hail and well met, travelers. What brings you to Thebes? Oh, we're coming to take some cows from the Thebans. Yeah, our king decided to take tribute from you guys every year, because we can and nobody will stop us. Oh, I'll give you your tribute.
And then we tried to explain to him that this wasn't a valid form of payment, but he wasn't very receptive.
And Erginos, king of Mania, was super ticked off, so he mounted an invasion against Thebes. And Heracles promptly handed them their asses. And the Thebans all thought he was super cool for this, so King Creon let Heracles marry his daughter, Megara, and they had a bunch of kids. And at this point, Hera was getting tired of seeing all the fame and glory he was getting, so she decided to completely ruin his life, as is her specialty. Wow, I sure do love having a beautiful, loving family. Actually, I hate beautiful, loving families! And Heracles was super bummed about murdering his family in a spontaneous fit of rage, so he traveled to the Oracle of Delphi to ask how to atone for his sins. Yeah, so you have a cousin named Eurystheus who's king of Tiryns, and he's kind of a douche, so as punishment you have to do 12 labors— No, wait, that's a spoiler. Sorry, 10 labors of his choosing. And then after that, you can become a god. Whoa, really? Damn, I should have killed my family years ago. So Heracles traveled to Tiryns in Mycenae and met with his cousin Eurystheus to be assigned his 10 labors. Oh, hey, Heracles, my favorite cousin who everybody likes more than me, even though I'm the king. What can I do for you? Oh, I accidentally committed some homicide, and now I have to do 10 tasks assigned by you to redeem myself. Oof, well, we've all been there. But don't worry, I'll make sure your 10 labors are super easy, so you can go right back to being everyone's favorite descendant of Zeus in no time. Why don't you start by, oh, I don't know, slaying the Nemean lion?
Hey, you need to watch niggas like that for real, bruh. If a nigga is praising you and that shit is too good to be true, it is too good to be true, man. Niggas hate you. Niggas hate seeing you do better than them. Like, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, cause sometimes the first thing I think when somebody else level up is like, oh shit, man, let me step my game up. See, the way I look at it is I need to do better for me. But it be niggas out here that really be like, man, fuck that nigga. Who you think he is? Who you think you are, man? You think you better than me? It's really people out here like that. So you see a motherfucker out here trying to bump you up just for the sake of helping you, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Fuck that. It ain't even the fact that I'm wanting to see you fail. It's the fact that everybody feel like they gotta get something out of it. They gotta get something out of it. You know what I mean? It ain't never just a nigga out there that's just gonna do it just because they want to see somebody else happy or doing good. They want something out of it, right? If you level up and they don't get nothing out of it, you just offended somebody. That's just how the world works, man. It's crazy. And the crazy part is you ain't even got to do nothing to offend them. You can walk into a party and the women will be like, oh, who is that? He's handsome. You just offended every nigga in that building. You don't even know what you did. They just liked you. And that's an offense. You just offended a nigga for that. You don't even know what you did. I didn't do nothing. She like me. Yeah, nigga, that's where you fucked up. That's where you fucked up at. Why she like you? I don't know. Yeah, nigga. We gonna do something about you plotting. We gonna do something about you, player. Just you wait. we gonna do something about you. God damn, nigga,
Shouldn't
now I'm
be
about
too
to
tough.
die because she like me.
Okay, now what? How did you even kill that thing? Its pelt is supposed to be impenetrable. Yeah, I noticed it wasn't bothered by weapons, so I just choked it until it stopped trying to claw my eyes out. Whoa, look everybody, Heracles killed the Nemean lion. Man, he's so cool. I can't think of a single person as cool as him. Nope, not a single other person comes to mind. Hey, Heracles, do you want to impregnate my 50 hot daughters? Okay, next you need to, kill the Lernaean Hydra. And this time, just meet me out front when you get back. So Heracles hitched a ride with his nephew Aeolus to the swamp of Lerna where the Hydra lived, and he soon found that his typical brute force tactics weren't very well suited for this foe. But with Aeolus' help, he was able to discover the monster's secret weakness, fire. And once it was dead, Heracles used its drops to craft some arrows with a sweet poison buff. Then they went back to Eurystheus to present their victory. Wow, nice work guys, but since you received help, I'm afraid I can't stamp your card for this labor. What? You never told me that was a rule. Oh, I'm sorry. Are these the 10 labors of Heracles or the 10 labors of Heracles and his nephew? Technically, it's going to be 11 labors now. You're not helping. Heracles' next labor was to capture the gold-antlered Cyrenian hind, but it was super fast, so he had to chase it around non-stop for a year until it got tired and gave up. And on his way back with it, he ran into the goddess Artemis. Hey, what are you doing with my favorite magic deer? You better not hurt it, or I'll smite the shit out of you. Oh yeah, this isn't what it looks like. I just have to take it to my cousin. It's part of this whole hero's journey atonement thing, I guess. What are you atoning for? Massacring my wife and children. Oh, alright, just put it back when you're done. So he presented the deer to Eurystheus, knocking out another of his 11 labors. So far. So after completing his third labor, Heracles was sent to capture the Erymanthian boar, which was causing some trouble in the city of Sophis. But along the way, he met a centaur named Pholus, and decided to take a break and
They
hang
need
out
to
with him
make a
for
game
while.
about
Thanks for dinner,
Heracles,
man. What do you
not
say we crack
Hercules,
open
the
a cold
Disney
one and
movie.
watch the game
This
now?
nigga
Oh, I'd
right
be
here.
down, but all I've got is this special wine Dionysus gave me like 150 years ago. Talk about vintage. Pop it open. I would, but I'm a little worried my cousins will want to share, and they get pretty rowdy around alcohol. Oh, don't worry, I can party with another centaur or two. Alright, if you say so. Wine, 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 wine. Okay, there might not be enough to go around, actually. So Heracles had to fight off the horde of centaurs, and the poison arrows he got from the Hydra came very much in handy. But he accidentally shot a centaur named Chiron, who was actually a pretty cool guy. We'll learn about the stuff he did in another video. You know, at some point. Like, comment, subscribe. I guess you guys have had enough horsing around. Wow, that was crazy. These arrows must be super poisonous. Ow, I'm dead.
Damn.
Well, this was a bizarre and needlessly violent detour. Oh hey, there's that boar I need to catch. That was easy. And Heracles finally brought the boar to his cousin Eurystheus. And his next labor was to clean the stables of the Aegean cattle in a single day. But he decided this task deserved some extra compensation. So he went to the cattle's owner, Aegeus, and offered to clean up his stables in a single day, purely as a good deed, in exchange for some of his cows. I'd like to see you try. Cool, thanks. Wait, what? And Heracles made quick work of those cow pies by diverting a river to wash the stables squeaky clean. But Aegeus didn't want to pay up for Heracles' service and kicked him out of his land. Damn wage theft. Well, at least I've knocked out another labor. Actually, I just remembered a totally pre-existing rule where you can't try to receive payment for your labors. Gonna have to make up for this with a 12th one. Well, shit. What do I have to do now? See those birds by that lake? Yeah, go scare them. Make them fly away. That's it? I had to pull this one out of my ass. Give me a break. So after that, and a few more labors involving the harassment of wild animals, namely a pissed-off bull and some man-eating horses, Heracles took a break to do some other fun stuff. He killed another centaur, he invented the Olympic Games, he helped the gods fight some giants, he sailed around for a little bit with this guy named Jason, who I'll probably talk about sometime later. Like, comment, subscribe, click the bell icon, tell your friends, kill your parents. He even helped Prometheus out of that situation with the eagle, which was a real Chad move. And with all the fame and glory Heracles accumulated with each new adventure, his haters got increasingly mad. So when it came time to resume his labors, Eurystheus decided to ramp up the difficulty, and ordered him on a perilous quest to the land of the Amazons, to retrieve the belt of the fearless warrior queen Hippolyte. Hey, can I have that belt? Yeah, sure. Shit! But Hera wasn't about to see her least favorite stepbastard get another easy win. So she snuck in with the Amazons disguised as one of their own. And she told the warriors that Heracles was secretly there to kidnap their queen. Wow, I'm sure glad I was able to wrap up this labor without any unnecessary bloodshed. Halt in the name of girl bossery! You know, I'd love at least one labor that doesn't involve mass murder and or animal abuse. Funny you should say that, because I'm having a barbecue tonight and I was hoping you could maybe pick up some steaks for me. Ugh. So for his 10th labor, Heracles was sent to retrieve the red cattle of Geryon, who lived on a faraway island called Erythia. It took Heracles a long while to travel across Europe to get there, and as the sun beat down on him, he started to get a little cranky. Did you just try to shoot the sun? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, man. I've just been having a rough week. Oh, no, dude, I'm honestly just impressed. I've never seen a human being with the audacity to try to cap a celestial body. You know what? Here's a magic cup for your troubles. Oh, thanks? No problem. Anyway, I gotta carry on. I'm off to bring a massive heat wave to a village of poor subsistence farmers. I love my job. Later, Hercules. Actually, it's Heracles in a Greek. Nobody cares!
Just as I was about to teleport us to safety, I was hit on the head.
Well, that just happened. Finally, he made it to the island of the red cattle, which were guarded by a two-headed dog, a regular dude, and a dude made of 3 dudes. So yeah, he got to commit violence on quite a diverse range of life forms that day. His next challenge was bringing the cows, which conveniently all fit in Helios' magic cup, back to Mycenae. One of them ended up getting loose and mixed itself up with a guy named Eryx's cows. And Eryx told Heracles he wouldn't give the cow back unless he could beat him in a wrestling match. I wonder how that went. Then when Heracles had almost made it back to Greece, Hera scared all the cows away with a fly, forcing him to snatch them all back up. Because if it wasn't obvious, Hera just likes to see him suffer. But at last, after fighting tooth and nail to keep each and every cow safe and sound, he finally brought them to Eurystheus, just in time for him to slaughter them all in tribute to his favorite goddess, Hera. And finally, with his initial 10 tasks completed, Heracles was now left to do his 2 extra labors to make up for the ones his douchebag, cousin arbitrarily invalidated. So after completing 10 challenges, Heracles' 11th labor was to retrieve the golden apples of the Hesperides, which were guarded by a 100-headed dragon. Heracles wasn't in the mood to fight another giant multi-headed reptile, so he headed over to the Titan god Atlas for help. Hey Atlas, what you up to? Oh, you know, just holding up the sky, as has been my job for the past 4.6 billion years, without any vacation days. Hey, isn't the sky actually supposed to be a god? So it's kind of weird that you have to hold it up. Oh wow, look at you pointing out something in Greek mythology that doesn't make sense. You're so clever and funny. Good job, man. Yeah, so I don't suppose you could maybe go grab me some of those golden apples? I need to get some for my cousin Eurystheus. I murdered my family, it's a long story. Well, I have my hands full at the moment, but if you wouldn't mind holding this guy for a minute, then I could go get them for you. Sure, no problem, man. Wow, okay, quick tip, lift with your knees. You would not believe how much my back is killing me. And then once his chiropractor appointment was finished, Atlas came back to Heracles with 3 golden apples. Hey, so I was thinking, why don't you hold on to that sky for a little longer, and I'll just go to your cousin and drop off these apples for you. How's that sound? Oh, sure, dude, but, you think first I could just grab a cushion for my neck real quick? Oh, totally, man, yeah, it's a real killer on the neck, believe me. Cool, I'll be right back. Sucker. As soon as he gets back with that cushion, he'll be taking my shifts for the foreseeable future. Wait, where are the apples? And then Heracles brought the apples to Eurystheus, completing his 11th labor. Wow, good job, Heracles. Okay. Through all these labors, you've done a remarkable job not dying. Despite all probabilities. So now for your 12th and final labor, you have to, go to the underworld and bring back Hades' giant 3-headed dog.
Look, man, ain't nothing worse than a nigga that's saying you on a fucking wild goose chase because they pretend. Well, I can't say ain't nothing worse. Let me stop saying that because it's a lot worse than that. But in life, you gonna notice it's a lot of niggas that pretend like they trying to help you, and they not, bro. They just telling you shit that they most of the time they know it ain't working. It ain't gonna work, but they gonna tell you to do it because it's gonna distract you from this imaginary rat race that they got in their mind. They gotta stop other niggas from getting to the cheese before they get to it. When it's just like, bruh, everybody can get to the cheese. Everybody can get to the cheese if we just go our own way. And sometimes we need to work together, but sometimes, nigga, you just be fucking it up for me. So if you don't want to see me get the cheese first, or if it bothers you that I get the cheese before you do, then nigga, just don't talk to me. Don't bother me. Don't offer me no help. But like, the last thing I need from you is to be an obstacle, bro. That's the last thing I need from you. That's it. Like, if you don't want to help, that's cool. Don't help, but don't fuck it up either. don't fuck it up either. That's all. That's all I got to say about that.
Dog Cerberus. So Heracles headed into the land of the dead, and on his way to Hades, he came upon two guys with their asses stuck to rocks. You guys seem to be in a pickle. How'd you end up here? What? We're Theseus and Pirithous. Yeah, there's a whole myth about us and how we got trapped here. Then why hasn't Jake made a video about you yet? Because animation takes a while, and I'll get to it at some point, okay? Like, comment, subscribe. Anyway, Heracles lifted Theseus off of the rock, and he escaped back to the world of the living. But the ground started to get angry when he tried to free Pirithous, so he decided to leave him be. Sorry, Pirithous. Then finally, Heracles came to Hades and asked for permission to borrow his dog. Sure, just as long as you bring him back afterwards. Cerberus, you wanna go on a walk? You ready for walkies? You wanna go on a walk? Oh, you wanna go on a walk. Well, it took longer than expected, but I think it's safe to say Heracles won't be coming back from this labor, which means I'm back to being the most popular descendant of Zeus. Hey, so are there more magical items or abominable creatures you want me to bring to you, or are we done here? We're good. We are so good. You are officially redeemed for your sins. Now please leave my property and take the giant hellhound with you. Thank you! And now with his conscience cleared for the murder of his family, Heracles decided to take a second good musical host. Think it's safe to go on a walk? Oh, back afterwards. Cerberus and asked for permission to borrow his dog. Even world of then why do you and back and job completed with the foreseeable future. Wait, where are the apples? And then Heracles brought the apples to Eurystheus, completing his 11th labor. Wow, good job, Heracles. Through all these labors, you've done a remarkable job not dying. Despite all probabilities. So now for your 12th and final labor, you have to, go to the underworld and bring back Hades' giant three-headed dog Cerberus. So Heracles headed into the land of the dead, and on his way to Hades, he came upon two guys with their asses stuck to rocks. You guys seem to be in a pickle. How'd you end up here? What? We're Theseus and Pirithous. Yeah, there's a whole myth about us and how we got trapped here. Then why hasn't Jake made a video about you yet? Because animation takes a while, and I'll get to it at some point, okay? Like, comment, subscribe. Anyway, Heracles lifted Theseus off of the rock, and he escaped back to the world of the living. But the ground started to get angry when he tried to free Pirithous, so he decided to leave him be. Sorry, Pirithous. Then finally, Heracles came to Hades and asked for this of the rock at some point, okay? Like, comment, subscribe. Anyway, Heracles lifted Theseus off of the rock, and he escaped back to the world of the living. But the ground started to get angry when he tried to free Pirithous, so he decided to leave him be. Sorry, Pirithous. Then finally, Heracles came to Hades and asked for permission to borrow his dog. Sure, just as long as you bring him back afterwards. Cerberus, you wanna go on a walk? You ready for walkies? You wanna go on a walk? Oh, you wanna go on a walk. Well, it took longer than expected, but I think it's safe to say Heracles won't be coming back from this labor, which means I'm back to being the most popular descendant of Zeus.
That's crazy, because that's all niggas want to be. Niggas want to be everybody's favorite. They want the glory. And it's corny because, like, that glory shit is fake love. Because people don't, just like how people only hit up God when they need something, that's the kind of love that is. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you want to be everybody's favorite, but they don't love you for you. They love you for what you can do for them. So you actively stopping people because you want to be that nigga? Why? Why do you want that? Like, they don't love you like that. They don't love you like how you think they love you, bro. They don't. You ever wonder why every time you do some shit, that shit scared me, I ain't gonna lie. You ever wonder why every time you do some shit, it always come a nigga randomly ask you for shit? That's because, that's really, truthfully, that nigga fake as fuck, but at the same time, that nigga real as fuck. Because that's all he want. And that's what he trying to tell you, that's all I want, bro. And you can learn a lot from that nigga. Not in the sense that he can actually teach you something, but like, that's your wake-up call right there. But it's whatever, man. I just a nigga
Hey,
talking.
so are there more magical items or abominable creatures you want me to bring to you, or are we done here? We're good. We are so good. You are officially redeemed for your sins. Now please leave my property and take the giant hellhound with you. Thank you! And now with his conscience cleared for the murder of his family, Heracles decided to take a second chance with love. So he battled a river god to win the hand of a lovely princess named Deianira. She was so lovely, in fact, that one time a centaur named Nessos tried to kidnap her. But luckily Heracles intervened before he could get away. Now I'm mortally wounded. Thanks, babe. You're welcome. Wow, your husband is super cool. Yeah, he's pretty rad as far as husbands go. I guess I'm a lucky gal. I bet the ladies are all over him, so let me give you a tip. Sure, guy who just tried to kidnap me, I'm all ears. If you're ever worried he's gonna leave you for some other chick, you can use my blood as a love potion to win him back. It's definitely not actually poison. Sounds legit. Thanks, man. Alright, I'm gonna die now, blah. A little while later, Deianira noticed that Heracles had an eye for another hottie named Iole. So she secretly rubbed the centaur's blood into his favorite shirt while he wasn't looking. But when he put the shirt on, it turned out that the rapist horseman was not as trustworthy as he seemed. And Heracles didn't want to live with a permanent poison debuff, so he said, guess I'll die, and set himself on fire. But then Zeus scooped him up and brought him to Olympus. And after some sorely needed family counseling, he and Hera managed to work out their issues. And then Heracles was finally promoted to godhood and given immortality, so he could be celebrated for his exceptional heroism for all eternity. And that is, more or less, the story of the great hero Hercules. Wait, now I did it.
That's actually pretty good.
Up with Echidna. No, not that Echidna, and definitely... There are surprisingly few unambiguous villains in Greek mythology. We mostly see messy conflicts between parties of gods and or noble-blooded mortals operating on a very different moral paradigm than that of most modern-day people. And then there's Typhon, the giant screaming monster made of snakes whose exclusive goal in life is to violently overthrow the gods and plunge the universe into chaos. We can safely call this guy problematic. Most classical sources tell us that Typhon was the offspring of Gaia, the primordial earth goddess, and Tartarus, the pit that makes up the lowest reaches of the Greek cosmos. And Gaia sent their son to usurp the Olympians as revenge for their subjugation of her Titan children, which they did because the Titans were subjugating her Cyclops and Hecatonchire children. Gaia isn't very good at making her kids get along, and I haven't even made a video on the Gigantomachy yet, but according to Homeric hymn number 3 to Apollo, and also the poet Stesichorus apparently, Typhon was actually immaculately conceived by Zeus's wife Hera. The story goes she was ticked off at her husband for giving birth to Athena from his head. So to get back at him, she decided to give birth to a kid of her own who would be even stronger than Zeus. Interestingly, this mirrors the birth of Hephaestus told in Hesiod's Theogony, except in that one, instead of an apocalyptic monster, she just had a kind of ugly baby. In Greek mythology, monsters are usually conceived of as perversions of nature. You might take a person or an animal and give it immense size, additional heads or limbs, and maybe slap on some traits from other creatures. Typhon is all those ideas cranked up to 11. He's the largest of all Gaia's giant children, he's got hundreds of limbs all made out of screaming serpents and dragons, he's got wings, he spits fire, he's the ultimate most monstrous monster of all monster kind. So as you can imagine, Typhon didn't have a very wide dating pool, so he paired up with Echidna. No, not that Echidna, and definitely not that one. I mean Echidna, the half-woman, half-serpent daughter of the sea gods Phorcys and Ceto. And from her and Typhon's loins sprang some of the most notable monsters in Greek mythology. Many of them you'll remember from the adventures of our boy Heracles, who I made 3 videos about. Like, comment, subscribe. There's Cerberus, the 3-headed dog of the underworld, the Lernaean Hydra, a serpent that grows 2 heads for each one cut off, and if you've heard of a different version of the Hydra, I made a video about that. The Nemean lion with its impenetrable, though unfortunately not strangle-proof pelt, Orthus, the 2-headed dog who guarded the red cattle of Geryon, and the Hesperian dragon which guarded the golden apples. They also begot the Chimera, a fire-breathing monster with the combined body of a lion, a goat, and a dragon, which was trained by a guy named Amisodorus to terrorize the countryside and its livestock. And that was a real asshole move by Amisodorus. I have no idea what his deal was. It would eventually be slain by the hero Bellerophon, son of Poseidon, riding on the winged horse Pegasus. Classical art and literature just have him spearing the Chimera or capping it with arrows, but the later 12th century medieval poet John Tsetses describes a much more interesting battle. By the way, shout out to Publius Covitus Naso from the OSP Discord for translating this passage to English. That was extremely helpful. He describes Bellerophon being unable to pierce the skin of the Chimera, so he attaches a piece of lead to the tip of his spear and melts it over the monster's flaming breath. Then the molten lead drips into the Chimera's mouth and solidifies inside, killing it. You've probably heard this version of the story before and may have thought it came straight from ancient Greece. It is possible that John was working with a now lost Greek or Roman source. In the same passage, he mentions another detail to the story which he attributes to Lysias. But given that, as far as I can tell, there's not even any classical art depicting this version of the story, I'm leaning towards it being a medieval invention. If anyone has more information though, please let me know. I find it super neat when myths evolve beyond their classical sources and then become so ingrained that we don't even notice.
Hey, it's
Boogie
Jake from the
MA6.
future. I got borged, by the way, and I'm almost done editing this video, but I was just informed that there's actually an earlier source mentioning the story with the molten lead. It's from a 6th century commentary on the works of Gregory of Nazianzus, who was the Archbishop of Constantinople in the 4th century. So it's possible that that version of the Chimera myth originated in very, very late pagan tradition, but it's still pretty inconclusive. So yeah, thank you people of the OSP Discord for being extremely helpful for my videos.
Another child of Typhon and Echidna was the Sphinx, a winged half-woman, half-lion creature who preyed on the people of Thebes who failed to guess the answer to her riddle. That is until Oedipus managed to solve it and she decided to die. And then there was the Caucasian eagle, which Zeus would send to torment Prometheus for stealing fire. Caucasian as in it was from the Caucasus region, not Caucasian like, you know, me. And that's just to name a few. Someone get Echidna a Mom of the Year award, and a nap. And so, after Typhon was done with all that procreating, he barreled up to Olympus to make battle with Zeus. And when this happened, some of the later sources tell us that the other gods were scared, so they ran away to Egypt and disguised themselves as animals. Hermes disguised as an ibis, Apollo a hawk, Artemis was a cat, etc. And I just find that to be a very cute attempt at explaining Hellenistic syncretism. Anyway, Zeus came at Typhon wielding the adamant sickle once used by his father Cronus. But then, surprise, Typhon kicked Zeus's ass, took the sickle, and cut out all his muscle sinews, rendering him unable to move. Remember, most Greek gods can't die, so you need to get creative if you want to depose them. This would have marked a permanent end to Zeus's reign, except Hermes and Pan came to the rescue and stole back his sinews, allowing for the two adversaries to have a rematch. And while researching sources for this story, I use and Greek god and cut used by his father Cronus. Syncretism. Anyway, Zeus came at Typhon wielding the adamant sickle once used by his father Cronus. But then, surprise, Typhon kicked Zeus's ass, took the sickle, and cut out all his muscle sinews, rendering him unable to move. Remember, most Greek gods can't die, so you need to get creative if you want to depose them. This would have marked a permanent end to Zeus's reign, except Hermes and Pan came to the rescue and stole back his sinews, allowing for the two adversaries to have a rematch. And while researching sources for this story, I found a fun but obscure excerpt from 2nd century poet Oppian, where Pan then lures Typhon with a banquet of fish, allowing Zeus to jump in for a surprise attack. And I thought that was hilarious, so I'm including it here. Now, the final fate of Typhon differs depending on the source. Hesiod has Zeus strike him with his thunderbolt, sending him down into Tartarus for all of eternity, except he can still annoy people with wind apparently. But others like Aeschylus say that Zeus took Mount Etna and threw it on top of Typhon, pinning him underneath. And to this day, he's trapped there spewing fire from the mountain's peak, this obviously serving as an etiological myth explaining Mount Etna's high volcanic activity. The fate of Typhon's ladylove Echidna also varies. If you ask Hesiod, her divine heritage made her immortal, and she just chills in her cave most of the time. Not too shabby. But according to the hymn to Apollo, the same that puts Hera as Typhon's mother, Echidna wasn't so lucky. That source tells of how Apollo shot her with an arrow, sending her into a rolling fit of agony, until she died and rotted away in the hot sun. That, I gotta admit, is pretty shabby. That's too bad for her. I see a whole lot of confusion on the internet surrounding the Gorgon Medusa from classical mythology, regarding her personal background and what her story is meant to represent. Now, most people understand that myths were originally transmitted through oral tradition, and therefore there's no definitive version of any given story or character. Mythology evolves and branches off with each generation, and that process continues to this day. I'll be honest though, it kind of bugs me how uncritical most people are when they encounter a variant of a myth that they're unfamiliar with or that contradicts the one they know. More often than not, they simply shrug off their confusion by saying, I guess that's just a different version of the story. But that could mean a whole lot of different things depending on what cultural context a myth variant originated in. With classical mythology, that could be anywhere from archaic Greece to the Roman Empire. And beyond those periods, people have continued to iterate, revise, and spin off classical mythology into the modern day. Distinguishing the time and place a variant came from matters because that knowledge affects how we view the real people who lived there. So, in explaining Medusa, I want to carefully track her evolution over the years step by step. The oldest traces of the Gorgon appear in prehistoric Aegean art, and when I say old, I mean old. The earliest Gorgonian, that is a depiction of a Gorgon's face without a body, is a ceramic mask found in Thessaly which dates back to sometime between 5,800 to 5,300 BC, several millennia before any of our classical mythological sources. This visage, as adorable as it is, might not remind you too strongly of Medusa, but its defining trait traits, bulging eyes, flaring nostrils, and a wide open mouth, belong to a pattern seen throughout prehistoric Aegean artwork leading up to the archaic Gorgon. This is the type of Gorgon we see in the Greek Archaic period, a woman with a wide face, sporting almost comically grotesque features including a beard, tusks, a lolling tongue, as well as snakes in her hair and wings. The Gorgonian is probably the most striking image seen all throughout archaic Greek artwork. Unlike most characters whose faces are shown in side profile, the Gorgon is looking straight forward, seemingly staring through the fourth wall at the viewer. It was believed that its intense gaze warded off evil, so Gorgonia appear all over the place on architecture, pottery, coins, shields, amulets, and other common items. My personal favorite are the bowls with faces at the bottom, so when you finish your meal, you get a spooky surprise. Side note, surprisingly, the words Gorgon and gargoyle do not have a shared etymology, even though they sound similar and basically serve the same function. I just thought that was neat and worth mentioning. Anyway, regarding the mythology of the Gorgons in archaic Greece, in Hesiod's theogony, the sea gods Phorcys and Ceto are the parents of the three sisters Steno, Euryale, and Medusa, the latter of whom was mortal unlike her deathless sisters. Hesiod also says that Medusa had sex with the god Poseidon, quote, in a soft meadow among spring flowers. This imagery may strike you as surprisingly romantic. As far as we can tell, this was a mutually consensual affair. It's important to keep in mind, however, that this is Hesiod, aka the women are the source of all human suffering guy telling the story. As is unfortunately often the case with the many sexual affairs of Greek mythology, we can't be entirely certain whether or not the woman was a willing participant, because the male writer probably didn't consider that an important enough detail to clarify. Regardless, from Poseidon, Medusa conceives the winged horse Pegasus and the less well-known winged boar Chrysaor, who are birthed from her neck after she's decapitated by the hero Perseus. Homer, meanwhile, describes his version of the Gorgon as a bodiless monster from Hades whose face is brandished on the Aegis, a shield or goatskin garment used by Zeus and Athena to incite fear in their enemies. Homer also mentions Perseus, but never anything about his quest to retrieve Medusa's head, so it's possible that this story never reached him. It's generally thought that Homer lived slightly before Hesiod, but there's no hard evidence for when exactly either of them were born. They both probably lived sometime in the 8th century BC, and may very well have been contemporaries. As for where they lived, Homer is believed to be from the island of Ionia, close to modern-day Turkey, while Hesiod was from Boeotia in mainland Greece. So based on their distance from each other, you can see how they could have been working with considerably different mythological traditions. Another side note, I surprisingly had trouble finding references from this era to the idea that looking at a Gorgon's face turns you to stone. There's a recurring notion that the Gorgon's gaze could incite terror or even strike you dead, and some of the earliest art of Perseus shows him turning his head away while decapitating Medusa, so he clearly had reason to avoid making eye contact with her. But specifically regarding petrification, the earliest quotation I could find was from Pindar in the 5th century BC, describing how Perseus brought Medusa's head wreathed in its serpent locks to strike stony death on the islanders. I'm not super clear whether that was an intentional pun or just a fancy choice of words that were later taken literally, but by at least the 3rd century BC we start to see explicit references to the Gorgon's petrification powers. Anyway, so the archaic Gorgon is unambiguously a monster, but that perception started to change as the years went on. As we move into the classical period, we see a greater and greater emphasis on idealized representations of the human body in art, and not even fearsome monsters could escape this broad stylistic shift. Think about every fantasy setting you've seen where male orcs look like Dave Bautista if he ate another Dave Bautista, meanwhile the female orcs are Victoria's Secret models with underbites. Turns out that's nothing new. The classical period Gorgon, which became the dominant representation through the rest of antiquity, takes on a more ideally feminine form, with all her typical grotesque features stripped away, leaving a conventionally pretty woman with just snake hair and maybe wings. This style of Gorgon also comes off as notably more passive. Depictions of Perseus and Medusa have him attacking her in her sleep, and many Gorgonia are now looking bashfully off to the side as opposed to giving a more assertive front-facing stare. This shift gave rise to a much more sympathetic take on Medusa's story, first seen in Ovid's Metamorphosis. In Ovid's version, Medusa was originally a human woman with beautiful hair, but after being assaulted by the god Neptune in Minerva's temple, the goddess punished her by turning her hair into snakes. Though this new backstory seems to be entirely an invention of Ovid's as a work of fiction, it's since been incorporated into the broader Medusa mythos. So, while Medusa originated as a monster meant to instill fear, as her her story evolved, it became impossible for us now to view her as anything but a tragic victim. She was an innocent woman who was assaulted by a man, unjustly punished for it by another woman, and then killed in her sleep by some random guy. It's no surprise then that Medusa's story resonated strongly with members of the second wave feminist movement, and the Gorgonian once again became used as a protective symbol, now specifically for women, her grotesque visage representing rage against the injustice she suffered. And at some point after Medusa's adoption as a feminist symbol, a new interpretation emerged of Ovid's backstory, where Minerva transformed her not as a twisted form of victim-blaming punishment, but rather as a gift. With the ability to turn men to stone, Medusa would be safe from unwanted lust. But tragically, this newfound strength only turned her into a target for Perseus, who killed her to take the power for himself. I don't actually know where this particular modern revision came from. As far as I can tell, it's been circulating on the internet for the past several years. If anyone knows who first introduced it, let me know in the comments. Medusa is a perfect example of how mythology continuously evolves even to this day, and each addition to her story makes her a more and more interesting character. However, I think we should be careful not to be so fixated on her most recent iteration that we lose sight of her rich history. Each iteration of Medusa is a reflection of the people who helped form her, from proto-red pill incel Hesiod to 20th century feminist writer Alana I don't know if I can say her name on YouTube. So there's this neat thing called, I don't know.
Oh, shit. Why would you name yourself that? What? Why would... Did she do that on her own? No, I see why she get married, though. Wait, no, I don't see why she get married. Why would you do that?
If I can say her name on YouTube. So there's this neat thing called syncretism that happens in polytheistic religions, where similar gods from different cultures can, over years of exchange, merge into one figure. And when two gods combine with each other, so do their family trees. And so when you have centuries of exchange between patriarchal societies, each of whom have their own chief god with his own far-reaching royal lineage, well, you get Zeus. Or at least this is one popular explanation for why he has such a hard time keeping it in his tunic. Zeus, of course, had a number of children with his queen wife Hera, most notably Ares, the god of war, bloodlust, and courage. Ares wasn't exactly Zeus's favorite offspring. In fact, Homer puts Zeus on record saying his ass would have been kicked out of Olympus if he wasn't his son. But while he was certainly a fearsome god, and from what we can tell relatively unpopular in cult worship, he still has his role as a deity, as we see in Homeric hymn number 8 to Ares, where he's called on to grant courage and victory to those in turmoil. Zeus and Hera also had a daughter named Aletheia, goddess of childbirth. When the hero Heracles was about to be born, Zeus announced that the next male born of his line would rule as king over his homeland. But Hera, never a big fan of her husband's love children, commanded Aletheia to prolong Alcmene's labor long enough so that Eurystheus, another descendant of Zeus, could be born first, thus stealing Heracles' birthright. Zeus and Hera's other daughter was Hebe. Her name literally means youth, and as cupbearer of the Olympians, she represented the god's eternal youthfulness. After Heracles ascended to godhood, Hera offered him Hebe's hand in marriage as a peace offering to end their long-running feud. Also, according to Pseudo-Apollodorus, Zeus and Hera were the parents of the craftsman god Hephaestus. However, other sources say he was immaculately conceived by Hera after Zeus birthed Athena. I made other videos going into detail on each of those gods' births. Now, if you look outside of wedlock, Zeus of course has many more kiddos. One notable love affair of Zeus's was that with the Theban princess Semele, with whom he conceived the god Dionysus. Despite his best efforts to hide his lechery, Hera of course found out about Semele and went to her in disguise. Under Hera's advice, she made Zeus swear an oath to grant her one wish, and then demanded that he court her in the way he would with his godly wife. Needless to say, Zeus's full-on god form was a bit much for her to handle, and she died of fright and was vaporized by his lightning. Luckily though, Zeus snatched up their fetus son Dionysus and stuck him inside his leg to finish baking. Now, Dionysus is a complicated god with a lot of disconnected myths from various localized cults, but Pseudo-Apollodorus attempted to arrange some of these myths to form a coherent narrative of the god's early career. After Dionysus was born from Zeus's leg, he was sent to be raised by a king and queen named Ino and Athamas, until Hera drove them into a child-murdering frenzy. So Zeus turned Dionysus into a kid, the goat kind, not the human kind, and brought him to live with some nymphs on a faraway mountain called Nysa. Other sources state that this was actually his original birthplace, likely as an attempt to etymologize his name as meaning God of Nysa. As a young god, his first accomplishment was of course inventing wine, but soon afterward, Hera struck him mad. She really likes doing that. And he spent the next several years traveling around the world, partying, starting mystery cults, and sending people into murderous frenzies.
Bruh,
Teenagers always
what
have
if
their phases.
fucking, like, all of religion is and history is people just arguing over how the story of gods. Like, what if that's what started all these wars? Is like people just like, no, he has lightning powers. No, he has thunder powers. And somebody's just sitting over there like, bro, why don't he just have thunder and lightning powers? Fuck you! Stab him in his heart! Like, what if that's how that shit all started, bro? Like, you know how niggas be over here arguing? Niggas can't even agree on fucking math problems that we all solved in 5th grade. And then I got a couple of death threats behind that math problem. Like, what if that's the type of reasons why all these stories about that shit is a thing?
At one point, he was kidnapped by some pirates. So to escape, he unleashed otherworldly horrors upon them and then turned them into dolphins. After this episode, he was finally recognized as a god and took his place among the Olympians. Another hookup of Zeus's was with the Titan goddess Leto. But when Leto was in labor with the twin gods Artemis and Apollo, Hera, of course, made it her mission to make her life as difficult as possible and forbid any land from letting her give birth there. After wandering for a while, she ended up on the island of Delos, where she was finally accepted. But her trouble wasn't over yet, because Hera also distracted Aletheia from leaving Olympus to grant Leto's children birth. So Leto's labor persisted for 9 nights until the messenger goddess Iris showed up to tell Aletheia her services were needed. And finally, the gods Artemis and Apollo were born. Apollo was quite a well-rounded god. His talents included music, archery, medicine, oracular prophecy, and being a huge slut. Apollo's first notable accomplishment was slaying Python, a giant serpent guarding the Oracle of Delphi, after which he became the patron deity of the sacred region of Delphi and the highest god of prophecy. Another notable escapade of his was his music contest with the satyr Marsyas. The goddess Athena invented the flute, but when she realized she looked silly while playing it, she tossed it away. When Marsyas found it, he went to Apollo and challenged him to a contest where the winner could do whatever he wanted to the loser. Apollo then flipped the flute and played it upside down, a feat which Marsyas couldn't hope to match, and Apollo was the clear winner. But don't worry, I'm sure Marsyas got off easy. We also can't forget Apollo's many loves, like Daphne, who didn't exactly reciprocate his affection, and while running from his advances, asked Zeus to turn her into a laurel tree. Or Apollo's boyfriend Hyacinth, who unfortunately died in a tragic frisbee accident. Apollo isn't great at maintaining long-term relationships. This, of course, didn't stop him from being by far one of the most popular gods in the entire Greek pantheon. Popular enough even to apparently steal other gods' jobs. Remember what I mentioned about syncretism? Well, early tradition identifies Helios as a distinct god who drives his sun chariot across the sky each day. As time goes on, however, we start to see his role taken up by Apollo, with Helios either considered an elder Titan god who was replaced or an alternate form of Apollo himself. Then, of course, there was Apollo's twin sister, Artemis, who was a bit more of a black sheep. As a child, she asked for her father Zeus's permission to never marry, and went to live in the forest with her entourage of gal pals. Interpret that how you will. Her passion in life was hunting, but her main duty as a deity was to be a patron and protector of young women until their marriage, and to give aid to women in childbirth.
Yo, she giving me anxiety. I think she about to let that arrow go at any second.
Spied on her while she was bathing. When she noticed him, she transformed him into a stag, and then his hunting dogs tore him apart. She did, however, make friends with Orion, the giant son of Poseidon who could walk on water. Unfortunately, their friendship didn't last long. According to Hesiod, Orion was such a good hunter that the earth goddess Gaia got angry and sent a giant scorpion to kill him. However, in a much later version from the Astronomica, it said that Artemis loved Orion so much she considered breaking her vow never to marry. To prevent this, Apollo took her out to shore while Orion was strolling far out into the sea and was like, "Hey, I bet you can't hit that ambiguous large object far off in the horizon." Oh, just you wait, bucko. Ow, I'm Artemis's best friend Orion, and now I'm dead. I feel so betrayed, blah. What have I done? So yeah, I guess both those siblings have crappy love lives. And that's just to name a very small portion of Zeus's offspring. I actually wanted to cover a lot more in this this video, but I'm a bit pressed for time right now because there are some other projects I'm eager to get started on over the next couple months. I'm glad though I was able to introduce you to a couple new gods as well as revisit some older ones in more thorough detail. And thankfully there's still plenty more material I can work with for a future video on this subject, because Zeus, well, he's Zeus. So, I got some things wrong in my last couple videos, and I figure I should acknowledge them, cause like, integrity or whatever. In my Medusa video, I said Homer was from the island of Ionia, which is a dubious claim considering there is no island called Ionia. This is the Greek island of Chios, which was home to a municipality called Ionia, until 2011 when it was dissolved in an administrative reform. But that's beside the point, because this isn't even the Ionia where Homer is believed to be from. That would have been this whole coastal region of western Turkey where several Greek city-states existed in the Archaic period. This region did actually include Chios for what that's worth, so it's not implausible that Homer lived there specifically. I'm gonna give myself half credit for that one. Another mistake I made in that video was spelling Pegasus Pegaeus. Obviously that was just a typo that slipped under my nose. A pretty reasonable mistake. However, in my video on Zeus's kids, I made a complete and utter blunder with my description of Apollo's music contest with Marsyas. I said that Apollo won by flipping Marsyas's flute and playing it upside down, but in the original myth he actually played his lyre backwards, you know, the instrument I drew him to be constantly playing, and then he challenged Marsyas to do the same with his flute, which obviously he couldn't do. It clearly says lyre in the quote that I copy-pasted from Pseudo-Apollodorus' library, so I don't have an excuse. Every time I've read this story, I've just mentally processed it as Apollo playing the flute, because I guess it just made more sense to me that if they were doing a music contest, they'd be playing the same instrument, and I realize it's physically impossible to play the double flute upside down, like where would your mouth even go? But I thought that was the point, because Apollo's a god, so he can just do whatever he wants even if it doesn't make sense, and that's why Marsyas shouldn't have done a hubris. But no, it turns out he was doing something actually clever, and I was doing something stupid, because I can't read. I'm 5 years old, I pee my pants every day, I'm a baby. The Olympian god Hermes was conceived by Zeus and Maia, the daughter of the Titan god Atlas. According to Homeric hymn number 4 to Hermes, Maia was shy and gave birth to her son alone in a cave in a mountain called Selene. Hermes was a little rascal right from the start, and soon after being born busted out of his swaddling and wandered outside. There he saw a tortoise which he killed and used to invent the lyre. After a quick jam session, Hermes then set out to the region of Pieria where the cattle of his half-brother Apollo grazed. He made soft sandals to hide his footprints and then drove 50 of Apollo's cattle away from their pasture, having them walk backwards to make them harder to track. On his way, Hermes passed by an old man tending to his vineyard and made a polite bribe/threat to buy his silence. Then Hermes hid the cows away near the river Alpheus, but not before sacrificing two and spreading their hides on rocks. He then returned home and slipped back into his swaddling clothes. Son, were you just up to some cunning mischief? No. I'm gonna get smited, aren't I? The next day, Apollo realized some of his cattle were missing and set to searching for them. He came upon the same old man and asked him if he'd seen anything. And stuck between the wrath of a vindictive god and the wrath of a vindictive god, he decided to snitch on Hermes. Apollo then showed up in Maia's cave and demanded a confession from Hermes or else he'd be tossed into Tartarus. But Hermes was just like, what? I didn't steal any cows, I'm just a little baby. I don't even know what a cow is, teehee. Apollo wasn't buying this, so the two brothers went up to Olympus for Zeus to judge their case. Hermes managed to Better Call Saul his way out of self-incrimination, much to Zeus's amusement. Nonetheless, he commanded Hermes to show Apollo where he hid the cattle without any more trickery. As the brothers arrived at the river Alpheus, Apollo saw the two hides left from Hermes' sacrifice, and became a little freaked out imagining how strong Hermes would become if he could already skin 2 whole cows as a newborn baby. So Apollo attempted to tie Hermes up with 2 branch withes, only for him to pull his Uno reverse card and command the branches to grow and encircle the cattle. Then, in order to pacify the situation, Hermes busted out his lyre and started playing some sick tunes. Whoa, those are some sick tunes. You can have all these cows if you give me that instrument. And so Hermes gave Apollo the lyre in exchange for the cattle, and the two quickly became besties for life. And Hermes became the messenger of the Olympian gods as well as of Hades, and a patron to travelers, herders, messengers, thieves, and all others who use the roads, even the dead on their way to the afterlife.
Now, you're probably familiar with the story of the birth of Aphrodite as first told by Hesiod, where Cronus, leader of the Titans, castrated his father Uranus and flung his severed genitals into the ocean. This produced foam, which over time formed into the goddess, who then washed up on the eastern Mediterranean island of Cyprus. This is by far the most well-known myth of Aphrodite's origin. However, other sources, including none other than Homer, believed her to actually be yet another daughter of Zeus and the Titan goddess Dione. In a way, Aphrodite could be considered one of the most powerful Olympians, as she had the ability to inspire ravenous lust in all of the gods. The only ones outside of her influence were the maiden goddesses Athena, Artemis, and Hestia, each of whom vowed never to marry. Clearly, she got a real kick out of making Zeus in particular fall in love with mortals. I mean, I had to start this multi-part video series just to cover some of his most famous kids after all, but one time Zeus decided to turn the tables on her. In Homeric hymn number 5 to Aphrodite, he made her fall madly in love with a handsome Trojan man named Anchises. Now, you may find yourself asking, wait, how does Zeus have the power to do that if he's not a love god? And, well, this story is a good example of why terms like god of love, god of the sky, god of whatever, aren't always useful. In general, I wouldn't think of gods as having a set of super specific powers exclusive to their domains. In practice, gods can bend the laws of nature however they want, and their God of X title is more of an indicator of the ways they usually choose to exercise their abilities. What I'm saying is, Greek gods aren't like Pokemon. Anyway, Aphrodite was super down bad for Anchises, but didn't want to be seen lusting after a mortal, so she disguised herself as a human and went to him claiming to be a Phrygian princess betrothed to him by order of Hermes. However, after they finished doing the thing that gets YouTube videos demonetized, she revealed her true godly form to Anchises and told him she would bear his son, the Trojan hero Aeneas, and place him in the care of the mountain nymphs for the first 5 years of his life before being returned to his father. But should Anchises ever tell someone that he, a mere mortal, begot a son by the goddess Aphrodite, he'd get the living shit smited out of him. So Anchises probably didn't appreciate that someone wrote a hymn about this story. Aphrodite had a number of other lovers, both mortal and immortal, but she still can't hold a candle to Zeus's body count, probably partially because Zeus was even willing to hook up with his own siblings, not just his queen wife Hera, but also Demeter, goddess of the harvest. The two of them had Persephone, who was then betrothed to her uncle Hades. I covered that classic story in another video. Persephone is often called goddess of spring, but that's another misleading title. It's really her mother who ushers in springtime when she returns from the underworld each year. Persephone's primary role, based on surviving evidence, was as queen of the underworld. In mythology, we often see her passing judgment on mortals, sometimes showing favor to heroes like Heracles and Orpheus who ventured into the underworld on daring quests, or imposing eternal punishment on those who disrespected her in life, like Pirithous, who had his ass permanently stuck to a stone for attempting to seduce the goddess. Now, it was also with Persephone, his own daughter, that Zeus decided to take his sexual depravity a step further and conceived the Orphic god Zagreus. Yes, that Zagreus.
God
He was an
damn it,
extremely
you
obscure
asshole.
god, most closely god Zagreus. Yes, that Zagreus.
That was a good ass game too. Hades and
He was an extremely obscure god, most closely associated with the Orphic cults, and very little was written about him. Which is easy to understand. The chief god committing double incest probably would have been a little too much for mainstream Hellenic culture to swallow. And that's saying something. Though for what it's worth, there's one early fragmentary source claiming his father was actually Hades, which Supergiant gladly took and ran with. Most surviving accounts of Zagreus come at the very tail end of classical antiquity, as polytheism was fading away in the Greek and Roman world. And in these sources, there's clear influence from the Egyptian Osiris myth, which probably came into play during the Hellenistic period. The most detailed source covering Zagreus is the Dionysica, a 5th century epic poem by Nonnus, which seems to stitch together various earlier accounts in an attempt to form a coherent narrative of the god's life. How well this reconstructed narrative actually reflects Orphic tradition, I have no idea. Our tale begins with Persephone hidden away in a cave by her mother to protect her from suitors. Zeus, however, took on the form of a serpent and snuck inside to assault her, and then she gave birth to Zagreus. As a baby, Zagreus climbed onto Zeus's Olympian throne brandishing thunderbolts, a clear omen he was destined to inherit his father's status as king of the gods. This was of course a major threat to Hera, who would be replaced as Zeus's highest consort if another woman bore her husband's heir. So she goaded the Titans into doing away with the kid. They disguised their faces with chalk and then went
to the godling, distracting him with toys. And then, once Zagreus let his guard down, the Titans chopped him up into pieces.
Oh,
Zeus
shit.
then took his son's torn up heart and mixed it into a drink, and gave it to Semele, who then conceived Dionysus. And now, if you're curious about Zagreus' sister, Melanoe, also a child of Zeus and Persephone, you can check out this other video I've already made. Hey, I'm pretty good at this YouTube algorithm thing. So, the heroic bard Orpheus was the son of the muse Calliope and Oeagrus, king of Thrace, though there were also traditions that claimed his—
Man, I noticed a lot of niggas. I went to New Orleans one time, and a lot of niggas call when they see the word Calliope, them niggas say Calliope. And like, I don't know if that's just like a New Orleans thing, but like, I don't want to tell a whole city of people that they pronouncing a word wrong, bruh. But in Greek mythology, all I've known is that that word has been pronounced Calliope. So I don't know, man.
His father was the Olympian god Apollo. Orpheus was the greatest musician of his time, able to spellbind not just humans with his lyre, but also plants, animals, and even inanimate rocks. His skills were invaluable to Jason and the Argonauts, who he accompanied on their journey to retrieve the Golden Fleece. I'll probably make a video about those adventures at some point before the heat death of the universe. He also was said to have visited Egypt and learned the secret rites of Dionysus, which he then brought back to Greece and formed the Orphic mystery cults. This story was probably created to explain perceived similarities between Greek and Egyptian cult worship. Of course, by far the most famous story involving Orpheus was of his love for his late wife Eurydice. Unfortunately, Greek writers like Diodorus Siculus and Pseudo-Apollodorus only give us short summaries of this myth. The best and most detailed classical account comes from the Roman poet Ovid. On the day of Orpheus and Eurydice's wedding, Orpheus invited the marriage god Hymen, don't laugh, to attend. But once arriving, he couldn't manage to light his ceremonial torch, signaling bad omens for the bride and groom. Shortly after the wedding, Eurydice was walking in the grass with her naiad gal pals when she got bit on the ankle by a viper and immediately dropped dead. Orpheus was utterly crushed by the loss of his wife, and after realizing that his mourning would never end so long as they were separated, he resolved to get her back. He traveled all the way into the underworld and came before Hades and Persephone, or I guess it would have been Dispater and Proserpina, because Ovid was Roman. Orpheus then performed a passionate song, pleading with Hades to return Eurydice to the world of the living, reasoning that since all humans must spend eternity in the underworld, allowing them a few more fleeting years together shouldn't make much of a difference to the god of the dead. He also alluded to Dis and Proserpina's own romance to hopefully tug on the heartstrings a little. His song was so moving that all the tormented spirits of Tartarus stopped to listen, and not even the Furies could hold back tears. Dis then decided to allow Eurydice to leave the underworld with her husband, but not without a condition. Orpheus would have to lead the way back to the surface with his back to Eurydice at all times. And should he at any point in their journey turn around to look at her, she would have to return to the underworld. The two of them traveled silently all the way to the threshold between the lands of the living and dead. But just as he was about to pass through, Orpheus was overtaken by a sudden fear that Eurydice had fallen behind and gotten lost. And he turned around, only to watch his beloved wife disappear again into the shadows of the underworld, this time for good. Wallowing in a brand new wave of depression, Orpheus decided to officially swear off relationships with women, and instead focused his affections toward young boys. Gotta love those ancient...
Is that really what be happening to niggas? Is that why every YouTuber that got publicly broken up with keep messing around with little boys? Little kids? Is that what y'all problem is? Y'all got y'all heart broken by an OnlyFans girl, so now y'all think the only way out is to mess with little kids? Is that? I don't know, man. That shit just come out of nowhere. I was not expecting that story to end like that. God damn. That's some shit. I was not expecting that story to end like that. But nigga, that's wrong. My nigga, that's wrong.
Let's keep our eyes on the
Greeks.
prize.
Imagine getting so red-pilled you become a pedophile.
Yes.
Anyway, 3 years
Yep,
after the
see
loss
right
of
there?
Eurydice,
Yeah, leave that red
Orpheus
pill shit alone now. Leave that red pill shit alone. I ain't gonna say it one more again.
Put on an angsty concert for the local forest creatures, singing of handsome young men loved by the gods and women who were punished by the gods for their lustfulness. In doing so, he attracted the attention of a group of Maenads, female worshippers of Dionysus, who, in their Bacchic frenzy, became enraged at Orpheus for rejecting the love of women and tore him apart. And in death, his soul returned to the underworld to permanently reunite with Eurydice, making for a beautifully bittersweet ending to this tale. So, can we talk about that whole pedophile phase you went through? So the first king of the gods was Uranus, the sky. Yes, I choose to pronounce his name like that. His mom-wife was Gaia, the earth, and they had a bunch of kids together, namely the many-limbed Hecatoncheires, the one-eyed Cyclopes, and the more or less normal-looking Titan gods. Uranus tossed his Cyclops and Hecatoncheire children into Tartarus because of their ugliness, much to Gaia's dismay. So Gaia gave her Titan son Cronus a sickle so he could chop off his dad's junk and become the new king of the gods and set his siblings free. But once released, Cronus saw them and said, "Oh wow, you guys really are ugly as f***, never mind," and sent them right back to Tartarus. So then Gaia helped the Olympian gods free their uncles and usurp their father. But once Zeus was in charge, he tossed the Titans into Tartarus, and Gaia said, "Okay, apparently I haven't made it clear enough that I don't want to see any of my kids imprisoned in a primordial abyss." That's kind of been the whole idea behind these divine rebellions, but I guess no one got that. Now, according to the Greek poet Hesiod, when Uranus was castrated, some drops of schlong blood landed on the earth, and from these, Gaia eventually gave birth to the giants. Then in Pseudo-Apollodorus' narrative, she sent these giants to usurp the Olympians. The gods received a prophecy that the giants could only be defeated with the help of a mortal hero, so they enlisted the aid of Heracles and set out to do battle. The giant Alcyoneus was invincible due to a totally broken healing buff as long as he was within the land of his birth. So, under Athena's advice, Heracles picked him up and brought him over the borders of Pellene, where he died. The giant Porphyrion was defeated when Zeus made him fall in love with his wife Hera, and while distracted, he got his ass smited by a thunderbolt poison arrow combo attack. Heracles also teamed up with Apollo to kill the giant Ephialtes. Dionysus bonked Eurytos with his staff, Hecate burned Cleitos with her torches, and Hephaestus yeeted some hot iron at Mimas. Athena skinned the god Pallas to create armor for her battle with the giant Enceladus, though this act alone was apparently enough for him to nope out of the fight, so she tossed the island of Sicily on top of him. Polybotes also was pinned under the island of Niceron thrown by Poseidon. Hermes took Hades' cap of invisibility and took out the giant Hippolytus with a stealth attack, Artemis shot Gradion, and even the Fates stepped into the ring to help kill Agrius and Thoas. The rest were killed by Zeus and Heracles. This wasn't the last time the gods would have to deal with giants, though. One time, a Thessalian princess named Iphimedia fell in love with Poseidon, and the two of them hooked up and conceived sons named Otis and Ephialtes. No relation to the Ephialtes from earlier. These two brothers quickly grew to massive size, reaching over 50 feet in height by the time they were 9 years old. They were also strong enough to defeat Ares, who they bound and stuffed inside a jar. He'd spend 3 months in there until Hermes arrived to let him loose. Otis and Ephialtes decided they wanted to take the goddesses Hera and Artemis as wives, so they began stacking mountains on top of each other in order to reach Olympus. However, Artemis transformed herself into a deer and leapt between the giants. The two of them, not wanting to pass up some good old-fashioned impromptu game hunting, fired their bows at the animal, only to shoot each other dead. Whew, well that's the last time I have mutually consensual intercourse. You're right, that's certainly the lesson we should be taking from this.
Damn. Them boys saying Zeus and Poseidon is just straight rapists.
Hi there, have you ever wondered where stuff like trees and birds come from, but most people's explanations aren't metal enough for you? Boy, do I have a religion for you, said first millennium pre-Christian Nordic civilization. My name's Jake, I came here to kick ass and talk about Norse mythology, and I'm all out of ass. So at first there was just a hot place, a cold place, and a whole lot of nothing in between. But then they started leaking and mixed their elemental juices together to make a big giant named Ymir, and he sprouted a bunch of kiddos called the Jotnar. Then a cow showed up from somewhere and licked a dude into existence, and then he had a kid who had 3 more kids named Vili, Ve, and Odin, and they were like, wow, this universe is kind of boring, huh? So they killed Ymir, and he dropped approximately 6.5856 sextillion tons of materials, which they used to build a whole planet. But then the Jotnar were like, hey, it was kind of a dick move for you guys to kill our our dad, then build a planet out of his corpse. Huh? Oh, hey, sorry guys, yeah, we can't hear you over this big wall we built, this big wall that encircles the entire Earth. Yeah, I don't know, can't help you, bye. And then they made some people out of sticks, and this guy Heimdall came and banged a whole population of them into existence. Then they decided Odin got to be in charge of everything, and in true chief deity fashion, he had a bunch of kids from various sexy goddess ladies, like Bragi, who's into writing poetry, Vidar, who likes avenging his father's death at the hands of a giant kaiju wolf, hypothetically, and Thor, whose main hobby is killing Jotnar, and pretty much exclusively that, but he's very good at it. And then of course there's Balder, who's a super cool guy that everyone likes. Literally everyone. See that squirrel? He's tight with Balder. That rock over there? Balder helped him move his couch last week. Sometimes he has bad dreams, but don't worry, it's probably fine. Nothing bad will ever happen to Balder. Meanwhile, Odin decided he wanted to know how to do smart people things like reading and destroying people at trivia games. So he traded his eye to a guy named Mimir for a sip of his magic pool water, and then he vibed out on a tree for a few days trying to memorize the alphabet. And once he was super duper smart, he knew secret magical techniques for predicting the future. Alright, let's see what this one says. Don't make a sacred blood pact with a guy named Loki. He will betray the Aesir, and then he and his children will bring about the end of the world. Shit. So the Aesir tracked down Loki's kids, each of whom bore a striking resemblance to their mother and father. Jormungand didn't seem very threatening, so they just tossed him in the ocean, but then he hit a fairly significant growth spurt. Oh hey, a tasty looking tail. Ow, pain flavor. Then they sent Helen to Niflheim and put her in charge of managing all the dead people, except any valiant warriors who Odin calls dibs on. He keeps them at his place, you know, just in case he ever needs them for something. Fenrir was just a cute puppy, so a guy named Tyr volunteered to take care of him, but then he turned out to have a similar metabolism to his brother, which posed an issue. So the Aesir commissioned some dwarves to make a super strong magical rope out of various in here to take care of his.
Where the hell you come
the
from?
Aesir will bring about the end of it, each of whom. Shit. So the Aesir tracked down Loki's kids, each of whom bore a striking resemblance to their mother and father. Jormungand didn't seem very threatening, so they just tossed him in the ocean, but then he hit a fairly significant growth spurt. Oh hey, a tasty looking tail. Ow, pain flavor. Then they sent Helen to Niflheim and put her in charge of managing all the dead people, except any valiant warriors who Odin calls dibs on. He keeps them at his place, you know, just in case he ever needs them for something. Fenrir was just a cute puppy, so a guy named Tyr volunteered to take care of him, but then he turned out to have a similar metabolism to his brother, which posed an issue. So the Aesir commissioned some dwarves to make a super strong magical rope out of various non-existent materials. Hey, Fenrir, we were just thinking of doing a fun little game with you where we, tie you up with this rope just to see if you can break out of it, you know, because you're so big and strong. Are you guys trying to imprison me for all of eternity? What? No, first of all, I am offended you would even say such a thing. We're just trying to play around here, you know, have some goofs. Okay, well, just to be safe, why don't we have one of you put your hand in my mouth, and then I'll let them go once you set me free. Yeah, sure, that'll work. That sounds fine. That sounds great. Let's do that. Alright, yeah, I'll do it. And wouldn't you know it, Fenrir was unable to break free, and Tyr was partially dismembered. Well, guys, I guess we should all give Tyr a hand.
Fuck y'all.
So the Aesir gods had some neighbors called the Vanir, consisting of Njord and his two kids, Frey and Freya. There were probably a lot more Vanir gods, but Vikings were bad at writing stuff down, and we don't have any information on them. So, to fill in the gaps, I just designed some original gods myself. Sure, yeah, they look plausible. They got into an argument over something with the Aesir, which led to some warring, beheading, burning, and impalement, you know, typical neighborhood drama. But they got tired of fighting after a while and decided to call a truce, and they signified their new friendship by all spitting into a bucket together. And, not wanting to let valuable god saliva go to waste, they decided to sculpt their spit into a dude named Kvasir, who was super smart and could answer any question. What region is the Victoria Crown pigeon indigenous to? New Guinea. What's 2,347 divided by 3.681? 637.59847866742. I'll take your word for it. How many fingers am I holding up? None, because Jake was too lazy to give you actual hands. And so Kvasir traveled around the world sharing his knowledge with everyone he came across, until one day when he met two dwarves named Fjalar and Galar. Hey, what would hypothetically happen if we stabbed you directly in the chest with this knife? Well, there's a variety of possibilities, mostly fatal depending on which specific area you stab. For instance, if you severed my aorta, I'd die within seconds. Oh, that was a clever setup. And then they collected his blood and brewed it into magic beer, which granted them the ability to create beautiful poetry after drinking it, and they stored the rest inside 3 kegs to keep for themselves. Meanwhile, the gods started wondering where Kvasir went and began trying to track him down. Hey, Fjalar and Galar, I've been trying to figure out where Kvasir went off to, and I heard you guys were the last people who saw him. Any idea where he is? A great tragedy. He choked on all his knowledge and died before us. Aw man, that really sucks. But why did you choose to relay this serious information to me through a haiku? When life is at its darkest and sorrow consumes us, beautiful words can be a candle in the night. Fjalar. I don't know what the hell that was, but it's equally suspicious. Odin's onto us. We should probably leave here to keep our beer safe. The greatest tragedy is that the things we hold most dear are the things we must hide from the envy of others. Fjalar. Yeah, sure. Oh wait, I gotta keep the meter. Damn, haikus are hard. So they found a nice home owned by a friendly Jotun couple and politely asked them for room and board. And by that I mean they committed 2 more counts of first-degree murder. But they forgot about their son Sudan, who returned after picking up some groceries. And when he saw what the dwarves had done, he took them out to the middle of a lake to amicably settle their conflict. And by that I mean leave them on a rock to drown once the tide rolled in. Okay, I get you're mad, very understandable, but we can't swim, so... Yeah, that's kind of the idea, though I'd be happy to let you back on board if you can offer me some compensation for my trouble, assuming you have something roughly equivalent in value to the 2 loving parents you murdered. Don't seek treasure from others. Seek the means to find treasure within yourself. My inner power. Fjalar. What the fuck does that mean? We have magic beer. Syllable, haikus are stupid. So Sudan took the beer kegs in exchange for sparing Fjalar and Galar's lives, and he hid them under a mountain and made his extremely lonely daughter Gunlod stand guard. But once word got around, Odin devised a plan to steal back Kvasir's remains and put on his best disguise. Then he went to the home of Sutan's brother Baugi and came across his slaves working outside. Hello, gentlemen. Just your average unsuspecting traveler passing through. How are your days going? Not super great. All our scythes have gone dull, so they're not good at cutting grass anymore. Also, we're slaves. Well, I can solve one of those problems, but probably not the one you were hoping for. And Odin brought out a whetstone and sharpened all their blades. Wow, these are super good at cutting grass now. What a nifty little device. This is almost as good as paid labor and the right to personal autonomy. At least I assume. And it can be one of yours for just 27 payments of $4.99. Oh, darn, we don't really have any money. No worries, I'll just give it for free to whoever can catch it. Haha, the classic make 9 people accidentally dismember each other with scythes trick. Works every time. And then he visited Baugi in his home. Hey there, I'm Bulwark, and I just wanted to inquire about this help wanted sign outside your establishment. Yeah, all my slaves just randomly killed each other. Dumbasses must have fallen for the old make 9 people accidentally dismember each other with scythes trick. I hear that one works every time. Well, I would be happy to offer my services. That sounds good, but I'm not super experienced when it comes to compensating people for labor. What do wage workers normally get paid nowadays? I believe the minimum wage in this province is a sip from 3 kegs of magical poetry beer. Oh cool, I think my brother has some of those, so I can probably hook you up. You're hired. And so Bulwark worked for Baugi that whole summer, doing the work of 9 men, and he totally crushed it. But when Baugi came to Sudan to ask for the magic beer, his brother refused to share it, so he and Bulwark started digging into the mountain lair where the kegs were stored. And once they made a hole, Odin turned himself into a snake and slipped inside, leaving Baugi behind. Oh man, looks like I fell for the classic disguise yourself as a mysterious traveler, then plan a heist only to abandon your accomplice at the last minute by transforming into a snake trick. Not again. And once Odin was deep under the mountain, he saw that Sudan's daughter Gunlod was there guarding the magic beer kegs. Hey, how did you get in here? You better not be trying to steal my dad's poetry beer. Actually, ma'am, I came here looking for a beautiful young woman, and it looks like I found one.
Affirmative. Sure.
These have been the most wonderful 3 days of my life. I would do anything for you. Well, now that you mention it, I was wondering if maybe I could have some of your dad's poetry beer? I guess that's okay, but only 1 sip from each keg, right? Cool, thanks. So, I gotta go. I'll call you. Bye. And Odin turned into a bird and started booking it back to Asgard. And Sudan saw and started chasing after him, but Odin used a special maneuver to block his advances. And then he barfed up the poetry beer into 3 vats, securing it for the gods. And now Odin sneaks it into some people's drinks, granting them the ability to create beautiful poetry. And the portion that came out his other end gets served to mediocre animators. So Loki was the kid of a Jotun named before bounty, but thanks to a blood ritual with Odin, they were actually pretty tight with the Aesir and Vanir. But every now and then they like to pull some sick pranks on their friends, but it was all in good fun, and the gods were always good sports about it. Loki, did you steal my wife's hair? Yes, I did. Ow, my bone! Buckle up, buddy, that's 1 out of 206. We've got a long way to go. Or, alternatively, I could go see if I can find some dwarves to make Sif some brand new hair? That could work, but if you come back empty-handed, we're starting where we left off. So then Loki went and commissioned the Sons of Ivaldi to make some beautiful new hair for Sif, and they even threw in 2 more sick presents for Odin and Frey. Wow, this problem was actually super easy to fix, and with these bonus gifts, the Aesir will probably owe me a huge solid. I wonder how I can ruin this situation for myself. So then they went to a dwarf named Brock and bet their head that his brother Atri couldn't make 3 even better gifts. Sure, I'll take you up on that bet, but I have one question. Sure, go ahead. Why do you do this to yourself, Loki? I don't know. So Atri got to work and told Brock to manage the bellows, and to not stop pumping for any moment until all 3 of his gifts for the gods were finished. But while they were working, a mysterious fly appeared from no discernible point of origin and harassed Brock the entire time. And he ended up getting distracted at the last second, causing the last gift to be botched. And then Loki and Brock brought their gifts to be judged by the gods. Thank you all for coming. My first gift is for Sif, who was recently the victim of a tragic theft committed by an unidentified culprit. But don't worry, because today I present to you I Can't Believe It's Not Hair. Made from the finest gold threads, I Can't Believe It's Not Hair fuses directly to the scalp upon application and grows like natural hair. Side effects may include redness, itching, swelling, burning, and other forms of mild to severe irritation. Do not use I Can't Believe It's Not Hair if you are diabetic, epileptic, anemic, or if you are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. If you experience dizziness, lightheadedness, or nausea soon after applying I Can't Believe It's Not Hair, contact your doctor immediately. Wow, pretty good. Alright, I'll keep your other 205 bones intact for now, Loki. And up next for Odin is Gungnir. Alright, now look, you take a regular old spear, you throw it at your enemies, sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't, but now your spear is gone, you just gave it to your enemies. Stop giving your weapons to your enemies, get Gungnir. Now look at this, 1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots. It hits your target every time and then comes right back to you. You don't have to waste your time going to get your spear, and even if you did, guess what? All your enemies are dead now. Total life changer. Hey, I actually really like that. Yeah, very nice. Man, I wish I had a cool magic weapon. And finally, my last gift for Frey. Are you tired of transporting your heavy warships across land? There's gotta be a better way. Introducing Skidbladnir, the first fully armed warship that fits in your pocket. Wowee! And wherever you choose to sail Skidbladnir, you're guaranteed to have a favorable wind in any direction, or your money back. Thanks, Skidbladnir. Hey, that's cool. Super neat. I don't even remember filming that. Well, good luck, Brock. I hope you and your brother didn't mess anything up, because the competition is tough. Yeah, so my brother's first gift for Odin is called Draupnir. It's a gold ring that creates 8 rings of equal mass every 9 nights. How exactly is that possible? I'm not sure. My brother said something about quantum physics and dark matter. Huh, pretty neat. Anyway, next for Frey is this gold boar named Gulenbursty. It can run real fast on air and water, and oh yeah, it also makes for a good nightlight. That was kind of an incidental feature. Oh, awesome, I've always wanted a pet. And this last gift for Thor is called Mjolnir, and before anyone says anything, I want to take full responsibility for tarnishing what otherwise would have been my brother's masterpiece. The handle is about 3 centimeters shorter than it was supposed to be. Ooh. But subpar ergonomics aside, it can be thrown with perfect accuracy, it can shrink for convenient carrying, and it won't break no matter how hard you hit stuff with it, so you can pretty much kill monsters non-stop. 20 out of 10! I don't think that's how our rating system works.
20 out of 10.
Yeah, 20 out of 10. Yep, looks like Brock and Atri win fair and square. Well, looks like I can take your head now, Loki. Oh, sure, just give me 1 second. Ow, my other bone! Wow, this thing is great. Alright, Loki, a deal's a deal. Indeed it is. And, if you look at the fine print of our agreement, you'll see that while you're free to take my head, you're not entitled to my neck. So you better not cut off any of my neck along with my head, or you'll be having a word from my lawyer, sir. Solid case. Damn, he got him there. You gotta read the fine print. Ugh, man, you suck. If my brother, the sentient sewing needle, were here, I'd totally sew your mouth shut. Did somebody say sentient sewing needle? Well, if anyone needs me, I'm gonna be out killing monsters with my cool new hammer for the next several months. Peace. And with Thor on sabbatical, the gods started to notice that they were uncomfortably vulnerable in the hypothetical event of a mass Jotun invasion. Then one day, a guy named Master Builder, rumored to be pretty good at building things, came and offered to build them a defensive wall for the low price of the sun, the moon, and the goddess Freya's hand in marriage. No way we'd ever make a deal like that, right, guys? A big wall would be nice. Yeah, but the sun and the moon are pretty important. Also the third thing. Oh, hold on, let me loosen your mouth stitches. Thanks. Anyway, what I was saying was, why don't we take him up on his deal, but give him a hard deadline that he'll never meet? So in the end, we'll get at least part of a wall and not have to pay for it. Hey, that's a good idea. Damn, you're on a hot streak, Loki. May I object to this course of action? Nope, just checking. So the gods took Master Builder's offer, but told him that if he didn't finish the wall by the first day of summer, he'd lose his payment. That works for me, but is it alright if my horse just helps me carry stuff? Sure, that sounds fine. Perfect, thanks. Well, off to work. Well, shit. And with the help of his horse Svadilfari, Master Builder was able to put the wall together with lightning speed. And as summer drew near, the gods started to get worried and called a meeting, where they politely asked Loki if they had any ideas for a way out of their conundrum. Don't worry, I've already concocted a foolproof plan for halting their progress. I'll simply divert my target's attention through the art of seduction. That's an interesting approach, but are you sure that would work on the Master Builder? What does the Master Builder have to do with anything? Oh, God. And then while Master Builder and his horse were on their way to pick up their last load of bricks, a ravishing young mare appeared. And Svadilfari was so enamored that he forgot about his job and bounded off with his new lady friend, leaving Master Builder to try and finish the wall alone as quickly as he could. But as the first day of summer finally arrived, his efforts proved to be in vain. Hey, no fair, you guys pulled some shenanigans. If it's any consolation, we didn't exactly get out of this unscathed. Mentally, at least. Oh, you'll be plenty more scathed when I'm done. Ow! All 206 of my bones! Oh, hey Thor, nice to see you're back. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun killing monsters with this hammer. Sorry, I've had a long day, so I'm a little hoarse. Ugh. Ew. So where's Loki? They just horsing around somewhere? Anyway, I need to go grab some dinner. I'm so hungry I could eat a whole... Stop! And then after, oh lord, forgive me for this one. 11 to 12 months, Loki returned accompanied by an 8-legged foal named Sleipnir. And Sleipnir could run super fast, so when he grew up, Odin claimed him as his personal steed. Wow, Loki, looks like your shenanigans once again helped us in the end. I sure am glad I made that blood pact with you. Aw, thanks. I know my antics can get pretty wacky, but I promise I'll always be a good friend and never betray you guys. Oh, hi, Balder. You're looking very murderable today. What? Nothing. The gods were in the business of making sure the world doesn't get destroyed, but unfortunately the Jotnar had a knack for making their job difficult. So it became Thor's responsibility to go out into Jotunheim every once in a while and commit some violent murder, in the name of peace. And he was really good at his job thanks to his magic hammer Mjolnir. But one night, somebody snuck into his house while he was sleeping and stole it. Oh, good morning. Honey, where's my hammer? Don't you have it right there? This is a ruler and a can of beans taped together to form the approximate shape of my hammer. Loki! I'm sorry I shaved down the outsoles of your boots to make you feel slightly shorter and harm your sensitive masculinity. What? Oh, nothing. What did you want to ask about? My hammer is missing. Did you steal it? I wish. That's a way better prank than the entirely hypothetical one I just mentioned. Yeah, except for the fact that I need my hammer to make sure the Jotnar don't end the world. Also, I like killing things. Oh, yeah, the world ending is definitely not something I want to happen. At least not until somebody finishes writing my favorite fantasy series, Patrick. Then Loki decided to investigate, so they traveled into Jotunheim, where they encountered Thrym, king of the Jotnar. Oh, hey, Loki, how are things going back in Asgard? Suspicious chuckling. Did you steal Thor's hammer, Thrym? Yep, while he was sleeping, I swapped it with a ruler taped to a can of beans to form the approximate shape of his hammer. Damn, I should have thought of that. Well, look, you're gonna have to return it, because Thor needs it to murder your people. Oh, sure, I'll be happy to hand it over to whoever can present me the goddess Freya's hand in marriage. Oh god, you're an incel? I take offense to your derogatory use of that word. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have stuff to do. So Loki went back to Thor and told him the news, and then the two of them went to Freya and decided to come up with a plan of their own. It'll be tough to get your hammer back without Freya, but I think I know another way we can do it, but I'm not sure if you'll be a fan of my idea. I'll do anything to get my hammer back! I'll do anything to get my hammer back except for this! Oh, relax, it won't be that bad. I happen to be an expert in the art of femininity, so just follow my lead and it'll be over before you know it. Wait, why am I the one pretending to be Freya if you can shapeshift? Oh hey look, we're here and they see us. Can't change course now. Finally, my beautiful bride has arrived. Wait a second, you don't look anything like the pictures I've seen. You're even more beautiful in person. Wait, I don't know how to feel about that. And then, before the ceremony, Thrym invited his lovely bride and her maid to a great feast. Our entree for this evening is your choice between the braised ox short rib and the honey-glazed salmon fillet. And for our sides, we have... Huh, that was pretty good. Do you have any more beer? Someone, drank all of it. I gotta admit, I didn't expect my lovely Freya to have such a large appetite. Oh, well, that's just because she's been so excited to meet her handsome Alpha Chad groom that she hasn't been able to eat for the past 9 days, and now she's just ravenous. You know what I think? I think that's pretty hot. Oh, alright, well, I'm not gonna tell you not to feel that way. Could. Do you, Thrym, take Freya to be your lawfully wedded wife? Hell yeah, I do. And do you, Freya, take Thrym to be your lawfully wedded husband? Till death do us part. Tight, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You can make out now. Oh boy, I've been waiting for this part. Her eyes make her look like she wants to crush me to death with her bare hands. Would you be into that? Huh, actually, I think I might be. Okay, I think it's time to exchange wedding presents now. Ah, of course. As promised, I present to you Thor's famous hammer. Where is that guy anyway? I would have thought he'd come here to get it himself. Oh, he's here all right. And he's been looking forward to this moment all day. Oh, well that explains a lot. But you know what? I've discovered a lot about myself today, and I don't think this is a deal breaker. Ow, I'm dead now, but I'm still kinda turned on. And then, reunited with Mjolnir, Thor used this opportunity to catch up on his Jotun killing quota. Whew, that feels better. This is the first time I've had to go longer than 3 hours without murdering something. Have you ever considered therapy? One day, the Aesir gods were coming home from a hunting trip and decided that they wanted to throw a party. So they headed to the home of a Jotun named Aegir, and Thor not so politely informed him that his house was the Aesir's new official party venue. Aegir was a little ticked off about having his weekend plans shaken up, so he told the gods that he wouldn't be able to host a party for them unless they could bring him a cauldron big enough to brew beer for all of the Aesir. Unfortunately, none of the Aesir had a vessel that could hope to accommodate Thor's stomach capacity, and it was looking like the party would have to be called off. But then Tyr told Thor about his father, the Jotun Heimir, who owned a cauldron that was a mile deep. And so the two of them headed into Jotunheim to see if they could acquire the goods. When they got to Heimir's hall, they were greeted by Tyr's lovely mother, along with his 900 headed grandmother. And Mrs. Heimir knew that her husband wouldn't be too jazzed about having to host an Aesir god like Thor in his home. So she told the two of them to hide before her husband came home so she could try to smooth things over first. Welcome home, dear. How was work? Horrible. Okay, well, our son Tyr has come to visit. I have a son? Yep, and he brought a friend of his, and I was planning on having them stay for dinner this evening. I guess that's fine. I just hope it's anyone but that despicable Jotun killer, Thor. Hi, Mr. Heimir. I'm Thor. You probably know about me because I regularly commit genocide against your people. I noticed there were a lot of barbecue kettle chips in this pantry, but I think Tyr ate them all, so I apologize on his behalf. So what's for dinner? And despite his hatred for Thor, Heimir was bound by good old hospitality customs to be a good host. So he served his guests 3 whole cows for dinner, of which Thor consumed 2. And because of this, Heimir was now running low on livestock, so he told Thor that they would have to go on a fishing trip if they all wanted to stay fed for the remainder of their visit. Sure, I'm down for some fishing. What should I use as bait? I don't know, just go find something so we can leave as soon as possible. Your cows are pretty tasty. Do you think this will work? I hate you so much my left eye just went numb. And so, Thor and Heimir sailed into the deep seas. Heimir rowed the boat into his normal fishing spot and caught 3 whole whales. Enough to keep his family plus Thor fed for at least a couple more days. But Thor had bigger game in mind, and rowed farther out into deeper waters to cast his bait. Then from the depths of the sea came the great god's mortal nemesis. Jormungand, the fearsome world serpent, took the bait and burst to the surface to meet his foe. The two locked eyes and prepared for the battle destined to claim both their lives and usher in the end of days. Nope, fuck that. Jake has at least another handful of these Norse mythology cartoons to make before we're doing Ragnarok. You don't get to just jump the gun, asshole. And then the two sailed back to shore with their fishing haul. It was at this point Thor remembered the plot of this story and that he and Tyr were supposed to retrieve Heimir's giant cauldron. But Heimir said he would only let Thor have it if he could prove his manliness once and for all in an ultimate test of strength, breaking his indestructible cup. But try as he might, Thor couldn't seem to put a dent in the vessel no matter what tools he used. Well, it looks like we've hit a wall. Probably, but don't beat yourselves up. The only thing harder than your father's cup is his head. Oh, really? Got it. Thanks for the tip, Tyr's mom. That was my favorite cup. But true to his word, Heimir rewarded Thor and Tyr by giving them his giant cauldron. And the two began carrying it off back to Asgard. But after walking for a while, Thor looked behind him and saw Heimir coming their way with an army of lava giants, ready to exact revenge for all the inconveniences he suffered. That might be a problem. Yeah, Tyr, is it cool if I go murder your father? Do you care about having my permission? Not really. Yeah, whatever, go ahead. Tight.
Well, it was nice to see my mom. Might be awkward after this. Then Thor and Tyr finally returned to Aegir's Hall ready to get their booze on, and so all the Aesir gods have every winter since. Unfortunately, Aegir's sleep schedule never recovered. So one time, the gods Odin, Loki, and Honir were out traveling when they came upon some oxen, and they decided to settle down and cook up some dinner. But strangely, no matter how long they cooked, the meat still came out raw. Looks like someone's using a magic spell to prevent our food from cooking. Loki, are you up to some shenanigans? Why whenever mischief is afoot, you guys always look at me? Gee, I wonder why. Hey guys! Whoa, whoa! Don't worry, I'm just a giant talking eagle. It's fine, don't question it. I saw you had some tasty looking meat, so I was wondering if maybe I could have a share? And if we don't give you any, you'll keep using this magic to make us starve? Yep. Well, as a trickster god, I gotta respect the hustle. So Odin agreed to give the eagle a portion of their meal, and once he lifted his spell, the meat cooked right away. But Loki wasn't jazzed about sharing food, so they started whacking the eagle with a stick. But the eagle grabbed onto it and shot high up into the air with his assailant. Well, this is quite the pickle I've gotten myself into. I suppose this is where you reveal that you're actually a powerful Jotun and you're gonna force me into a vow of service in exchange for my life? Haha, you got me. Yeah, I'm actually the Jotun Thjazi. Originally, all I wanted was some free steak, but since you so kindly inserted yourself into my pickle jar, I'm gonna request that you lure the goddess Idun out of Asgard so I can kidnap her. And if I don't, I'll drop you and you'll turn into a flesh pancake. You drive a hard bargain, Thjazi, my man. The goddess Idun was the wife of the god Bragi and keeper of the golden apples which granted the gods extended youth when eaten. She never left Asgard unaccompanied, but Loki, ever the schemer, came up with a plan to lure her into Thjazi's trap. Hey there, Idun, how's it going? Hi, Loki. You here for a bite of my apples? Actually, I'm good on that score. I found some apples that are even better than yours, over in that secluded forest. You know, the one so far away and densely wooded that nobody in Asgard would be able to hear cries for help coming from there. You found some apples that are better than mine? Oh, we'll see about that. So Idun followed Loki into the forest, where Thjazi promptly swooped in to catch his prey. So, we're good now, right? Yeah, we're square. Tight. And now with Idun missing, all the gods in Asgard began to grow old and feeble, so they assembled to discuss their predicament. Ah, geez, I sure am old now. Yeah, me too. Ah, man, what are old people things? I lost my teeth. I can't hear things well.
I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break, cause a nigga gotta take a piss. Take the piss. I'm taking the piss, yeah. Somebody gonna get their ass whooped. Somebody gonna get their ass kicked. Somebody gonna get their wig split. Beat him up. Break his neck. Break his neck. At one point, I had that shit working the way as soon as I switched the batteries, it would go straight to recording again. I don't know why.
Need glasses to use my phone. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm looking as young as ever. Yeah, I have no idea where my wife went with her apples. Does anyone know who last saw Idun? I don't know, but it sure seems like mischief is afoot. Shit, I did do it this time. And the gods politely requested for Loki to rectify the situation. So they borrowed Freya's falcon suit and flew over to Thjazi's home where Idun sat. Hey, so I'm really sorry you got caught up in all of this. I was kind of in a pickle. Thjazi threatened my life to help him take you, but now the Aesir are threatening me to steal you back, so here I am. Yeah, next time someone threatens your life, try dying. And so Loki turned Idun into a nut and flew off back to Asgard with her. But when Thjazi returned home and saw his prisoner was missing, he flew off in pursuit. When the gods saw Loki and Idun returning with Thjazi hot on their trail, they piled up some wood and lit it up as the Jotun passed through. Ah, geez, I'm dead now. And now with Idun returned, the gods could once again feast on her apples to restore their youth. But they couldn't celebrate for too long because Thjazi's daughter, the Jotuness Skadi, soon arrived, seeking vengeance for her father's murder. The gods didn't want to deal with another conflict, so as a gesture of peace, they decided to offer her some compensation for her loss. First, she was allowed to choose a husband from any of the gods, but she could only pick them based on their feet. She chose the prettiest pair of feet in the lineup, hoping they belonged to Balder, the most beloved of the gods. But it turned out that she picked Njord. Another compensation the gods owed Skadi was to find a way to make her laugh, but this proved to be a more difficult
That's
task.
funny,
And
nigga.
so the gods once again turned to Loki to solve their problem. Loki took a rope and tied one end to the beard of a goat and the other to their junk. Needless to say, what ensued was an absolute riot. The gods' final compensation for Skadi was to send her father Thjazi's eyes into the sky to become stars, so he could always watch over her. Wow, we sure had our ups and downs today, but you know, in the end, everything turned out just fine and all is forgiven. In fact, I for one feel like we've all become even closer friends than— Shut the fuck up, Loki. One day, Loki was in the mood for doing some mischief, so they borrowed Frigg's falcon suit and traveled into Jotunheim. They ended up at the home of a Jotun named Geirrod, who spotted them spying from a window. Geirrod sent a servant to catch his alien intruder, and Loki decided to amuse themselves by watching him struggle up to the window. It was a slow day, alright? But when the servant reached Loki, they discovered they were stuck to the windowsill and were caught. Geirrod could tell Loki wasn't any ordinary bird, so he locked them in a box to starve. After 3 months, Loki finally revealed their identity and promised Geirrod if they were let go, they'd bring Thor to his home without his hammer and magic belt to defend himself with. This turned out not to be a very difficult scheme to pull off, as Thor is always down for a chance to kill some Jotuns, and a handicap to spice things up was only a bonus as far as he was concerned. On their way to Geirrod, however, Thor and Loki stopped at the home of Grid, the Jotuness mother of the Aesir god Vidar. She warned Thor to watch out for Geirrod's mischief, and then lent him a new belt of strength, some iron gloves, and a staff called Gridaval. So, never mind about the handicaps, I guess. Also, it's not 100% clear whether the iron gloves given to Thor were his iconic gloves Yarngraper, since Yarngraper just means iron gloves. Was Snorri talking about the Yarngraper, or just a Yarngraper? No gloves are mentioned in Thor's Droppa, an earlier Skaldic rendition of this story, so we're just gonna shrug and move on. Anyway, then their path took them to the river Vimur, and Loki latched onto Thor as he started wading across it. But halfway through, the tide began to rise higher and higher, threatening to drown the gods. And that's when Thor looked upstream and noticed Geirrod's daughter Gjálp straddling the river and, quote, causing the river to rise. Interpret that how you will. So Thor picked up a rock. If you want to stem a river, you gotta cut it off at its source.
That nigga Bishop just full of fucking Ghana, fucking
Ow.
glicky.
And then, finally, Thor and Loki arrived at Gerad's home. Why, hello, my long-awaited guests. I hope you didn't have to face any treachery on your way here. I have a perfectly cordial dinner planned for this evening, but I'm sure you're wary from your long travels. So, why don't you take some time to relax in my luxury guest suite?
Yes.
I called the chair. So Thor popped a squat in his room, but once he sat down, the chair started rising, and he realized Gerad's daughters, Gjalp and Grape, were underneath, pushing him up to the ceiling. So Thor took Gridavall and stuck it into the ceiling, while pushing down hard with his legs against the force of his assailants. The old chair trick? Do these people think I was born yesterday or something? You fucking scare me, man. Afterward, Thor was invited to meet with Gerad inside
This
his hall.
fucking dumbass!
So I feel kind of embarrassed, but I think I should come clean and say I wasn't 100% honest about why I invited you here. You're trying to kill me, right? Yeah, I really hate you and want you to die. Fair enough, feelings mutual. And you're also probably mad that I just killed your two daughters? Oh, for sure, I'm absolutely gutted. They were my pride and joy. All that drives me now is a burning desire for revenge. And I'm assuming now you've prepared another devious surprise attack that I just walked into? Yeah, you totally got me. Alright, prepare to die. Then Gerad used tongs to pull a lump of molten iron out of the fire and flung it at his enemy. But Thor caught the projectile with Grid's iron gloves. Well, shit, I'm out of ideas. And then Gerad hid behind a pillar. But Thor swung his arm and tossed the hot iron straight through the pillar, Gerad, and the outer wall of the hall. Yeah, this was a very unsatisfying turn of events, and now I'm dead, blah. Well, I guess it all just goes to show. Whenever, if you wanna be, Alright, there's not really a moral to this story, I just had a lot of fun killing people.
Alright, I think that's where I'm gonna drop it off right there. Actually, hold on.
So Theseus'
I'll watch
career as
one
a
more.
hero had a pretty good start. When he first set out to meet his father in Athens, he chose to prove his valor by traveling along the bandit-infested Saronic Gulf. And during this journey, he rid the land of its 6 most notorious criminals. He then, of course, went to Crete, where he slew the Minotaur, freeing Athens from the subjugation of King Minos. He accomplished this with the help of Ariadne, having sworn to make her his wife in return. Then they sailed out to the island of Naxos, and this is where things take a sharp turn. Though there are differing accounts of what exactly happened. The most common version of events has Theseus abandoning Ariadne in her sleep. Then upon waking, she either committed not alive on herself, or the god Dionysus fell in love with her and swept her away to make her his wife. Ariadne had several children with Dionysus, and eventually she was made immortal and worshipped as a goddess on Naxos. It should be noted that some accounts absolve Theseus of wrongdoing. Diodorus presents a version where Dionysus actually visits him in a dream and forces him to leave the island without her. And Plutarch provides an obscure and very tragic account where Theseus' ship ended up at Naxos after being blown off course by a storm. Ariadne was pregnant and extremely seasick, so she went onto the island. But then the storm picked up again and pushed Theseus' ship back out to sea. The women of Naxos cared for Ariadne in her grief and attempted to comfort her by forging letters from Theseus. But the poor girl fell sick and passed away before her child was born. Eventually, Theseus returned to the island and was heartbroken to find his fiancée dead, and he gave the people of Naxos money to form a cult in her honor. The next big mishap in Theseus' life was forgetting to raise white sails on his return to Athens in order to signal his victory against the Minotaur. This caused his father Aegeus to cast himself into the ocean. This blunder would have been a little forgivable if we were to assume that Theseus was grief-stricken over Ariadne. But if that wasn't the case, then the only takeaway is that he's an idiot. With Aegeus dead, Theseus was now the most eligible to inherit the throne of Athens, much to the dismay of his 50 cousins, the Palantides. They hatched a scheme to kill Theseus, planning to separate into 2 groups. One meant to bait Theseus out of the city, and the other waiting in ambush on his path to meet them. But the herald of the Palantides, a man named Leos, betrayed them by divulging their whole plot to Theseus. And he ambushed the ambushers, killing them all and sending sending the other group running home. After becoming king of Athens, Theseus eventually took back up his adventuring hobby and accompanied Heracles on his quest into the land of the Amazons. Wait, when exactly is this supposed to be taking place? Has Medea tried to kill you yet? Yeah, so this is after you were with the Argonauts. Was I with the Argonauts? Yeah, wait, no, you're supposed to be trapped in Hades then, and that hasn't even happened. I'm gonna be where? Hey, guys, let's not worry about the timeline. It's just gonna get more confusing the more you try and untangle it. Yeah, you're right. Fair enough. Anyway, Theseus kidnapped the Amazonian princess Antiope to make her his queen, and the two of them had a son named Hippolytus. And apparently, Antiope decided, you know what, I'm actually pretty happy here. There are worse guys to get kidnapped by and forced to bear children with. However, this marriage wouldn't last. After the death of King Minos, his son Deucalion took over Crete, and Deucalion sought to end his people's hostilities with Athens, so he betrothed his sister Phaedra to Theseus. After being dumped for the Cretan princess, Antiope decided to crash Theseus and Phaedra's wedding with her Amazonian gal pals, and Theseus was forced to slay her in battle. And I thought my ex-wife was a pain to deal with. Theseus and Phaedra then had two sons, but unfortunately this marriage wouldn't last long either. The downfall of their relationship is told in detail by the Greek playwright Euripides. Phaedra's stepson Hippolytus was a devotee of Artemis, and he scorned the goddess Aphrodite for lack of interest in all things carnal. This pissed Aphrodite off, so to get him in trouble, she made Phaedra fall madly in love with Hippolytus, and the queen's distress over her unnatural desires caused her to fall ill. After being implored by her concerned nurse, Phaedra confessed her secret in confidence. The nurse then went to Hippolytus and confessed Phaedra's feelings on her behalf, and Hippolytus fell into a disgusted rage. Didn't you read my Twitter bio? What part of Arrow Ace do you not understand? Oh, I thought that was just cause you're really into archery. With her shame exposed, Phaedra promptly unalived herself and left a note for her husband, falsely accusing Hippolytus of assaulting her. Theseus then banished his son and prayed to the god Poseidon to avenge Phaedra on his behalf. And as Hippolytus was leaving on his chariot, his sister Leon sought to end his people's his son Deucalion took over Crete, and Deucalion sought to end his people's hostilities with Athens, so he betrothed his sister Phaedra to Theseus. After being dumped for the Cretan princess, Antiope decided to crash Theseus and Phaedra's wedding with her Amazonian gal pals, and Theseus was forced to slay her in battle. And I thought my ex-wife was a pain to deal with. Theseus and Phaedra then had two sons, but unfortunately this marriage wouldn't last long either. The downfall of their relationship is told in detail by the Greek playwright Euripides. Phaedra's stepson Hippolytus was a devotee of Artemis, and he scorned the goddess Aphrodite for lack of interest in all things carnal. This pissed Aphrodite off, so to get him in trouble, she made Phaedra fall madly in love with Hippolytus, and the queen's distress over her unmade Hippolytus is fortunately to deal with. Theseus and Phaedra then had two sons, but unfortunately this marriage wouldn't last long either. The downfall of their relationship is told in detail by the Greek playwright Euripides. Phaedra's stepson Hippolytus was a devotee of Artemis, and he scorned the goddess Aphrodite for lack of interest in all things carnal. This pissed Aphrodite off, so to get him in trouble, she made Phaedra fall madly in love with Hippolytus, and the
That's where the
distress
stepmom
over her
bullshit come
unnatural
from.
desires caused her to fall ill. After
Disgusting.
being implored by her concerned nurse, Phaedra confessed her secret in confidence. The nurse then went to Hippolytus and confessed Phaedra's feelings on her behalf, and Hippolytus fell into a disgusted rage. Didn't you read my Twitter bio? What part of Arrow Ace do you not understand? Oh, I thought that was just cause you're really into archery. With her shame exposed, Phaedra promptly unalived herself and left a note for her husband, falsely accusing Hippolytus of assaulting her. Theseus then banished his son and prayed to the god Poseidon to avenge Phaedra on his behalf. And as Hippolytus was leaving on his chariot, a monstrous bull emerged from the sea, sending the horses into a panic and causing him to get tangled in the reins and dragged behind them. After hearing the news of this incident, Theseus was visited by Artemis, who revealed Phaedra's deception. Why didn't you tell me this before I told Poseidon to kill my innocent son? Because Deus Ex Machinas are cheap. You're already a literal Deus Ex Machina! And Theseus visited his dying son to beg his forgiveness and share a tearful goodbye. And I thought my dead wife was a bitch. By this time, word of Theseus' heroism had spread far and wide, and Pirithous, king of the Lapiths, decided to put his reputation to the test. He stole Theseus' cattle, and when he came to confront him, the two kings were in awe of each other's strength and masculine beauty, and agreed to become besties for life. Theseus then attended Pirithous' wedding, where Pirithous' cousins, the centaurs, were also invited. However, being unaccustomed to wine, the horsemen got absolutely sloshed, and attempted to abduct all the women in sight. And Theseus and Pirithous took up their weapons to fight. May I join the fray, fellow dudes at arms? Oh, Cainius, congratulations on your transition. You look great, man, and wow, your voice is so deep now. Thanks, guys. The magic HRT Poseidon gave me did wonders. It also made my skin completely impenetrable, which is a nice plus. Ow, 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 ow. Well, and after a long battle, Theseus and Pirithous stood victorious. Is this just how weddings are supposed to go? Like, this is a weird thing to experience twice, right? Theseus and Pirithous then agreed that, being themselves descendants of gods, they would help each other claim daughters of Zeus for wives. First, they went to Sparta, where Theseus abducted Helen, but since she was only 12 years old, he left her in Athens to wait for her to come of age. Pirithous chose a much more ambitious conquest and went with Theseus into Hades. Hey there, Hades! We just thought we'd come pay you a visit and not kidnap your wife Persephone. Well, how nice of you to come by. Why don't you two pop a squat on those totally normal chairs right there? Don't mind if we do. Huh? Ah, damn it, we've been beguiled. Ugh, I knew this was gonna happen. We should have listened to Orpheus. You hooligans have a lot of nerve. The only one who gets to kidnap my wife is me. Aw, that's sweet, honey. And so Theseus and Pirithous remained trapped in the underworld until Heracles came by on his quest to retrieve Cerberus. And he broke Theseus free from his chair. However, when he attempted to free Pirithous, the earth shook, and it was decided that his intention to abduct a goddess was too great a sin to be forgiven. And Pirithous chair. And so a nerve. Ugh, I knew this. What? She Zeus agreed that go. Theseus and Pirithous stood victorious. Oh And after a long battle, Theseus and Pirithous stood victorious. Is this just how after a me did and do men got absolutely sloshed and attempted to abduct all the women in sight. And Theseus and Pirithous took up their weapons to fight. May I join the fray, fellow dudes at arms? Oh, Cainius, congratulations on your transition. You look great, man, and wow, your voice is so deep now. Thanks, guys. The magic HRT Poseidon gave me did wonders. It also made my skin completely impenetrable, which is a nice plus. Ow, 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 ow. Well, and after a long battle, ow, 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 ow. Well, and after a long battle, Theseus and Pirithous stood victorious. Is this just how weddings are supposed to go? Like, this is a weird thing to experience twice, right? Theseus and Pirithous then agreed that, being themselves descendants of gods, they would help each other claim daughters of Zeus for wives. First, they went to Sparta, where Theseus abducted Helen, but since she was only 12 years old, he left her in Athens to wait for her to come of age. Pirithous chose a much more ambitious conquest and went with Theseus into Hades. Hey there, Hades! We just thought we'd come pay you a visit and not kidnap your wife Persephone. Well, how nice of you to come by. Why don't you two pop a squat on those totally normal chairs right there? Don't mind if we do. Huh? Ah, damn it, we've been beguiled. Ugh, I knew this was gonna happen. We should have listened to Orpheus. You hooligans have a lot of nerve. The only one who gets to kidnap my wife is me. Aw, that's sweet, honey. And so Theseus and Pirithous remained trapped in the underworld until Heracles came by on his quest to retrieve Cerberus. And he broke Theseus free from his chair. However, when he attempted to free Pirithous, the earth shook, and it was decided that his intention to abduct a goddess was too great a sin to be forgiven, and Pirithous would remain trapped in Hades forever. I'll never forget the time we shared, kidnapping girls. Swear to me you'll commit twice as many horrendous crimes. For my sake. I will, brother. I will. However, when
Scarlet
Theseus
Witch.
returned home, he discovered that Helen's brothers, Castor and Pollux, had come and rescued her, and installed Mnestheus, his first cousin twice removed, as the new king of Athens. And I thought my 12-year-old bride was...
Jean
okay, I'm not
Grey.
gonna make that joke, that one's too far. Anyway, Theseus fled to the island of Skyros. But Lycomedes, the king of the island, was afraid of Theseus for his past deeds. Or possibly he had already pledged loyalty to Mnestheus. Theseus demanded a portion of land, based on some ancestral claim that I'm too lazy to try and trace back. Lycomedes brought him up to a tall peak on the pretense of surveying his new estate, and pushed him off a cliff. And that was the end of Theseus. Everyone's favorite heroic monster slayer / serial widower / child abductor. Yeah, he went downhill really fast. No pun intended.
So the hero of the Minotaur myth is the Athenian prince Theseus,
If we use the term hero in the absolute most technical sense. But probably the most interesting character in the tale is the inventor Daedalus. There may have been a real Daedalus at some point in Bronze Age Greece. The name appears on a Linear B tablet from Knossos, Crete, dated to 1400 BC-ish. It refers to the Dei Regio, which would have been some structure erected by or for a person named Daedalus. What the real Daedalus did with his life, we'll probably never know. For an overview of the mythical Daedalus life, I'm going to be referencing two sources, Pseudo-Apollodorus and Diodorus Siculus. Pseudo-Apollodorus was the author of The Library, a compendium of classical Greek myths drawing from various much older sources, most of which are now lost. It gives complete synopses of myths that elsewhere are only told in bits and pieces, so I find it to be very convenient as a reference. The Library was traditionally thought to have been written by Apollodorus of Athens in the 2nd century BCE. However, the work has since been dated later to the 1st or 2nd century CE. Thus, the author is now referred to as Pseudo-Apollodorus, because we have no idea who he actually was. We just know he wasn't Apollodorus of Athens. Diodorus Siculus was a Greek historian from the 1st century BCE. He considers Daedalus to have been a real person. However, in his writing, he's skeptical, if not outright dismissive, of the more fantastical elements of his story. And so he presents what he considers a more plausible rendition of Daedalus' story alongside the standard mythic version. Daedalus was born in Athens, and he quickly became a famous artist for his groundbreaking innovations, such as depicting people with bendy limbs and eyes that open. However, he'd soon find his spotlight under threat after taking up his nephew Talos as an apprentice. Talos observed the jagged teeth of a snake's jawbone and was inspired to create the first saw for cutting wood. On top of that, he also invented the potter's wheel, the drafting compass, and many other groundbreaking tools for craftsmen. After realizing his nephew would soon surpass him in renown, Daedalus became immensely proud of his industrious protege. Just kidding, he pushed the kid off the Acropolis. Then he attempted to bury Talos' body in order to hide his crime, but this was in vain. Hey, is that a child's leg sticking out of the ground? No, it's a dead snake. Uh-oh, still alive. Die, snake. Oh, I'm dead now. Blah. Okay, I'm gonna call the cops. Damn it. And Daedalus was tried by the court of the Areopagus and convicted of murder. He then fled to the island of Crete, where King Minos became his new patron. But as you might know if you have good taste in YouTube videos, it wasn't long before Daedalus screwed up this gig as well. In case you don't, I'll get you up to speed. First, he made the bull suit in which Queen Pasiphae would copulate with the bull of Poseidon. After she gave birth to the Minotaur, Minos commissioned Daedalus to create the labyrinth in order to house the monster. And there it would prey on the tributes sent from Athens. Years later, Theseus arrived on a quest to venture inside the labyrinth and slay the Minotaur. Minos' daughter Ariadne was smitten by the hero, so she demanded that Daedalus reveal a method of escaping from the monster's confounding lair. He instructed her to give Theseus a ball of thread and tell him to fasten it to the entrance of the labyrinth and unravel it as he traveled through. Then, after defeating the Minotaur, he'd just need to follow the thread to find his way back to the entrance. And I need to pause for a second and rant about something. I never ever want to become Mythology CinemaSins, but this genuinely bothers me a lot. While the terms are often used interchangeably, there is a difference between a maze and a labyrinth. A maze consists of multiple paths that branch off into dead ends in order to obscure the way to the goal, while a labyrinth is a single path that just wraps around itself with no branches. And all throughout classical art, we see Daedalus' labyrinth depicted true to its name, just one winding path leading to the Minotaur in the center. However, if we accept this model of the labyrinth for the Minotaur myth, it makes the story problematic. Because you can't get lost in a labyrinth, you just go forward until you get to the end, and then you just turn around. You don't need a string. So I just have to believe that Ariadne saw Theseus for the first time and said, "Damn, that guy is hot, but he also looks like he has the memory of a goldfish." Yeah, there is nothing going on in that head. I need to help this boy. And with that in mind, I no longer hold it against Theseus for leaving Ariadne behind. He probably just missed the object permanence patch as a toddler. Same with forgetting to raise white sails on his way home so his dad wouldn't unalive himself. It's not his fault, his peanut brain failed him. Okay, that's the end of this tangent. Anyway, Minos finally got fed up with Daedalus scheming with his wife and daughter, and imprisoned him inside his own labyrinth, along with his son Icarus, who he had with one of Minos' slaves. Or according to Diodorus' account, Daedalus went into hiding with his son, but Minos put a bounty on him, making it impossible to charter a ship off of Crete. Regardless, Daedalus employed yet another work of genius to get him and Icarus off the island. He took feathers and beeswax and constructed artificial wings which the two of them used to fly up into the sky and out of captivity. Alright, son, we may be free now, but it's crucial for your safety that you listen closely to my instructions. I'm listening? You mustn't fly up too high, or else the heat from the sun will melt the wax keeping your feathers attached. Alright. You also don't want to fly too low, because the moisture from the sea could wash the feathers right off. Makes sense. The safest option is to maintain a constant altitude right through the middle in order to avoid any hazards from the sky or sea. And as long as you follow these instructions to the letter without any deviation, we should both make it safely to land without any incident. Understood. Hey Dad, check this out. Woo! Yeah! Yippee! I'll note that Diodorus proposed an alternate account of Daedalus and Icarus' escape, where Pasiphae provided a boat for them to flee in. But upon reaching another island, Icarus disembarked in a reckless manner and drowned in the sea. While certainly more plausible, I gotta admit this version isn't quite as fun. Pseudo-Apollodorus also mentions that Heracles later discovered Icarus' body washed up on the island of Delike, where he gave the boy a proper burial. And for this reason, the island has since been called Icaria. As thanks, Daedalus constructed a statue in the hero's likeness at Pisa. But it was so lifelike that Heracles mistook the statue for another man of comparable size and strength. And naturally, his first instinct was to chuck a rock at it. And that's the entirety of that episode. Daedalus eventually made his way to Sicily, where he befriended King Cocalus. And there he built the king an impregnable fortress city, temples to the gods, countless works of beautiful art, and most importantly, a sauna. But all the while, Minos was out searching for his fugitive. In Diodorus' demythologized account, Minos found out his whereabouts and came to Sicily with his army, demanding that Cocalus bring Daedalus back into his custody. Once again, the traditional mythological version is a lot more interesting. Minos traveled all over the Mediterranean with a shell and a thread, offering a reward for anyone who could thread the thread through the shell. He knew there was only one man who could discover the solution. When Minos arrived in Sicily and presented the challenge to Cocalus, he took the shell and gave it to Daedalus. Daedalus bore a tiny hole at the end of the shell and tied the thread around the body of an ant. Then the ant passed through the hole and the puzzle was complete. When Minos was presented the threaded shell, he knew that Cocalus was harboring Daedalus and demanded that he surrender the man to him. Cocalus agreed, but first insisted that Minos make himself at home and take a relaxing bath. And while bathing, Minos was treacherously murdered by the daughters of Cocalus. And after this event, Daedalus seems to just vanish from the narrative.
As far as I can tell, we don't even have an account of his death until way later in the 6th century CE, in Ethnica, a dictionary of place names by Stephanus of Byzantium. By the way, huge thanks to John for digging up this source for me and Publius for translating it. You know who you are. According to Stephanus, Daedala was an Anatolian city said to be founded at the place where Daedalus, traveling along a river, was bitten by a water snake and died. And that's about the closest we have to an ending of his story, which admittedly is a little unsatisfying. Though I gotta point out that Daedalus dying from a snake bite serves as great poetic justice for the murder of his nephew Talos. Good for you, kid.
Oh shit.
In distant Asia Minor, a city shone whose name was Troy. The wealth and splendor of this metropolis eclipsed all neighboring cities. It also had magnificent walls built by the gods. This kingdom developed rapidly. Some people said that the city would become more developed than the legendary Atlantis. But the spinning goddesses of fate knew that the only similarity between Troy and Atlantis was their sad fate. In Troy reigned Priam alongside his wife Hecuba. He had already had his firstborn son Hector, and the queen was pregnant again. The night before the baby was born, the queen had a terrible nightmare. In this dream, the city of Troy was burning in flames. The king visited the oracle to try to understand the meaning of the dream. The answer given by the oracle was desperate. It was said that the birth of the second child would ruin Troy. On that same day, Hecuba gave birth to the child. He was a strong and healthy baby boy. But Priam just wanted to avoid that terrible prophecy. The baby had to be sacrificed to safeguard his kingdom. Hecuba tried to protect her son, whom she had named Alexander, but could do nothing in the face of the king's will. The baby was handed over to the shepherd Agilus, who was given the mission to kill the baby. The shepherd took the baby to a forest at the foot of Mount Ida. But when he arrived there, he didn't have enough courage to carry out the task. He put the baby on the ground and abandoned him to his fate. After several days, the shepherd still had the image of the baby in his mind. He decided to return to the place where he had abandoned him. Incredibly, the baby was in good health, suckling.
I gotta watch this. I'm gonna watch this tomorrow, though. What the fuck, man? See, that's